just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Call the good dudes at Gabrudes. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Homeowners, if you have an electrical project you need done, then you need the good dudes at Gabrudes. Family owned and operated for 30 years, Jay Gabrude and his team are the area's recognized experts for everything electrical, from the very basic like repairs, lighting upgrades, and whole house fans, to the biggies, panel replacements, EV stations, and backup generators. Gabrude's does it all and does it right the first time. They're actually the guys their competition recommends. Gabrude's, expert, 5-star service, and always transparent, honest prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues. Visit Gabrudes.com or call 24/7 and speak with a real live person. Gabrudes, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrudes. G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabrudes.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. Currency is on. The dollar has been the world currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. That's 800-941-4184.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Tell your friends. Grant's back. Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst. K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento. Hello. Hello, Sacramento. Sacktown. And welcome in.
Grant Napear.
How you been? You know this guy.
It's your show.
So happy to hear you on the airwaves.
2+ decades on the radio with you.
Just the start of an incredible journey.
Now he's back on Fox Sports 104.7 FM and 890 AM.
3 to 6 every day, Fox Sports Sacramento.
The phone number?
916-779-0929.
His name? Grant Napear.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? The final game of the first half, more than half, but we always call it the halfway point when you get to the All-Star break, even though that was several weeks ago. And tonight's game with the Kings and the Jazz in Utah, I think is Exhibit A of what's wrong with the NBA right now. And I want to get into this because the Jazz and the Kings can come out and tell you whatever they want but actions speak louder than words. And my eyes don't lie to me when I hear Doug Christie talk about how they're trying to win every game, and I hear Scott Perry talk about that. And then when you're playing the LA Clippers 2 games ago, and you don't have DeMar DeRozan on the floor in the final couple of minutes and some other players, it doesn't tell me that you're trying to win the game. And I thought it was very interesting because on Bill Simmons' podcast, he openly asked the question if Adam Silver is the right person to be leading the NBA, because Bill Simmons isn't so sure. That was on the latest episode of the Bill Simmons podcast, which is very interesting. He was talking about the problems with the league and, in his words, egregious examples of teams tanking and the recent rise in player injuries. And he was referring to the schedule needs to be shortened, all right? And he questioned whether Adam Silver is the right person to lead the league. He said all of this everything they're doing, they're not serving the larger picture of what do fans want. How do we keep our players healthy? How do we have a competitive season from start to finish? How do we avoid over 1/4 of our league not giving a S for the last 2 months? How do we fix this? And it's the first time I really wondered, do we have the right guy running the league? Because he doesn't seem interested in actually fixing real problems that everyone can see. And it's not about oh, look at the NBA Cup. Oh, we created this thing. Your schedule is too long. You have to fix this. It's too long. It should be 70 games. I have criticized Adam Silver often on this show for having no backbone. I don't think he runs his league the way it needs to be run. If you're going to judge a commissioner by only about how much money they make for the league, to me, that's a little shallow, right? Because that's what Roger Goodell does for the NFL. It's what Adam Silver has done for the NBA with their massive TV contract. But the bottom line is, how is the product? And right now, the NBA product, especially when we're talking about a game in February, okay, we're not in March, we're not in April, we're in freaking February. It's the 11th of February. And you have a game tonight in Salt Lake City where both teams are not playing significant players. And the question about this whole thing can be wrapped up very simply. If tonight's game was important, meaning if it were a game that would determine whether you would get into the playoffs or the play-in, how many of the players that are not playing tonight would be playing? And I contend that several of the players that are not playing this evening would be on the court. When you look at the Kings, DeAndre Hunter would not be one of them. I think Zach LaVine would play, although I don't know that for sure. I'm almost positive that Malik Monk would play, who's been listed out with an illness. Sabonis would clearly be playing. This is knee management. I mean, he just missed games because of a back. His knee should be fine. Why isn't Sabonis playing tonight? Would someone help me out with that? Why is Sabonis not playing? Russell Westbrook, a sore ankle? Really? A sore ankle? Keegan Murray, who's been working out and I believe will be back soon. I wonder if he would be playing. Larry Markkinen is not playing tonight because of rest. Why does Larry Markkinen need rest tonight? Don't they have off for the next 7 days? I mean, why does he need rest? Keontae George not playing because of an ankle. And you know about Walker Kessler, who's been out for a while with recovery from a left shoulder situation. He's out for the year. But seriously, that's what you have to ask yourself. If the game were important tonight, how many of the players that are on the list of not playing would be playing? And I say a minimum of 3. Monk would 100% be playing. I'm almost very comfortable in saying that. Sabonis would be playing. And Markkinen clearly would be playing. And probably Westbrook. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And you have two teams that are near the bottom of the standings, and they're shortchanging their product, and they're basically slapping the NBA in the face by doing this tonight. Do not insult me by telling me that a player is not playing tonight because of rest when you're getting ready to have off for a week. Don't do that to me. You know, make something up. Tell me he's got the flu. Tell me he stepped on a nail. Tell me anything, but don't tell me that, please. Now, you could say, well, Grant, you know what? You could tell me, well, the Jazz have a game tomorrow. Maybe Markkanen's playing tomorrow. Well, if he can play tonight, he should be playing tonight. Because there are some games tomorrow. Dallas at the Lakers, Portland at Utah, Milwaukee at Oklahoma City. And you look at the standings and you look at the West, and you have Sacramento at 12-43. Utah is 17-37. Right now, the Jazz have the fifth worst record. New Orleans and Indiana with 40 losses. Washington with 38 losses, and then Brooklyn and Utah with 37. And by the way, Bobby Marks of ESPN and others have come down really hard on the Jazz for intentionally, without any question, tanking. Well, Sacramento's doing the same thing. And Doug Christie can come on afterwards and talk about how they're trying to win games. No, they're not, okay? Not with the lineups that are on the floor at the end of games. When you don't have DeMar DeRozan, when you're down by 2 buckets with 90 seconds left and he's not on the floor, you're not trying to win the game. Plain and simple. All right? You're not trying to win the game. We talked about this on the postgame show over on YouTube and X with Jerry, and he agreed. I mean, it's very clear. Okay? Like, your eyes will tell you what's going on. I mean, it's really that simple. It's really that simple. And right now, the Kings, and yes, they're in a youth movement. I get that. But why isn't Sabonis playing tonight? Again, why is he not playing tonight? Why isn't Markkanen playing tonight? Why? I mean, you can say whatever you want about this. They're not playing, and there's a reason why they're not playing. And I think the main reason is they don't want to win the game. That's how I look at it. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. Not in February. I'm not a fan of it at any time, but I'm certainly not a fan of it in February. So you have a game tonight that's going to start at 6 o'clock Pacific, and you have messages coming from organizations about what they are doing, but what they are saying and what they're actually doing do not support one another. Because you can say whatever you want, but then if you do something different in the games, then it is what it is. 707, day 2 of Asking Grant to Talk Baseball. If you think I'm going to be talking baseball on February 11th when nothing's going on, then you're listening to the wrong guy, and I suggest you change the station. All right? And here's the other thing. If you want me to talk baseball, call up and ask me a question. If you really want me to talk baseball, call up and ask me a question. I'm going to talk about baseball on February 11th? Really? Are you kidding me? Seriously. What do you want me to talk about? Francisco Lindor having surgery? What do you want me to talk about? Seriously. There's nothing going on. Right? There's nothing going on. So you can ask me day 1, day 2. I'm not talking baseball in February when nothing is going on. Here's from the 209. Grant, do we really think of professional sports commissioners that they really have full autonomy in running their league, They're just figureheads, in my opinion. Love to hear your thoughts. They don't have full autonomy, but yes, they are the driving force of their league. How about David Stern? Look what he did. Look how he ran his league. Clearly, the owners have a lot of pressure and have a lot of edicts that they put on commissioners, but there's a reason why you have a commissioner. And the commissioners are very powerful people within their sports. So, yes, they do have a lot of power. Full autonomy? No. No, I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far. From the 916, load management is an absolute joke. Yeah. You know? Absolutely. It is. So, again, you can talk all you want about who's playing and who's not. And Doug Christie can come on post-game press conferences and talk about how they're trying to win. But his substitution patterns and how he is coaching the game towards the end does not tell me they're trying to win, at least not in the last several games. Scott Perry spoke to the media, and I thought it was a great job by him this past week at the facility in Sacramento, right? He spoke to the press. He spent, about 45 minutes? Ryan was there. A lot of members of the local media were there. They asked Scott Perry a lot of questions, and Perry actually spoke about this very topic.
That's not in our vocabulary, tanking, institutional. You're not going to see a team that's going to go out here these final 30 games and say, we're trying to lose. Absolutely not. Because, again, the lottery system itself, look, the team that won it last year had the 11th best odds, Dallas. They weren't trying to lose last year. And they won it. And I think in the last 20, 25 years, 3-4 times, the team with the worst record won the lottery. So there's no guarantee. It's not like football. If you had a worse record, you're going to get the number one pick. So, no, we want to compete.
First of all, I believe in Scott Perry. I don't think the Kings are trying to go out and lose. And he's very careful the way he worded that. I don't think they're trying to go out and lose tonight, but they're not trying to win. So you can say it where you can't accuse him of not telling the truth. I agree 100% with Scott. I don't think they are trying to lose. I don't think the players that are going out onto the floor are trying to lose, but I don't think the organization is trying to win. There's a big difference there between not trying to lose and trying to win. And in my opinion, and I think that in a lot of people's opinions, what's been going on recently, they're not trying to win. And clearly, what is going on tonight, they're not trying to win. And Doug Christie can talk all he wants about the losing streak and the All-Star break and blah, blah, blah. They're not trying to win. Okay? They may not be trying to lose, but they're definitely not trying to win. What do you think about that? 916-779-0929. Grant, you would never see the NHL do this load management nonsense. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Thank goodness for the NHL. That's all I will say. Thank goodness for the National Hockey League and the way they go out and compete every night. And you saw the mid-season tournament last year, right? The Four Nations, which is one of the great things that we've seen anywhere in team sport. It was a huge success with players going all out, right, from the Four Nations. And it was so effective and such a great example of how you can do things that the NBA then decided to change the format of this year's All-Star game. The problem with this year's All-Star game seems like everybody's hurt. But what we did last year in February, and now it's the Olympics, and a lot of the players are playing over in the Olympics, but we saw a great example of athletes in team sports competing at an ultra-high level for games that meant nothing towards their team's success. It was a thing of beauty. Hey, I'll tell you what else is beautiful. DAS Mechanical, when you have a problem with your heating and air system, because they are so good at what they do, you are going to have everything taken care of. But more importantly, and I really believe this, the trust that you have when their service people are in your home or your business, they walk you through everything. You are going to know every single thing that they are doing. There's no surprises. And right now, I don't know if you're aware of this, and it's something you may want to think of if your current heating and air system is 15 years or older. You know, a lot of people are changing their heating and air systems from gas to all electric. I mean, hey, it's about becoming, more energy efficiency, saving a lot more money every month on energy bills. So if you fall into that category, 15 years or older with your system, hey, you know what? It may be time to consider a change. And that's where DAS Mechanical comes in because, nearly all of their work that they do now is gas to electric whole system changeouts. Nick Delancey, the owner, and his team, they're experts. All right, they're great at this. And here's something else to keep in mind. They also have 0% financing if you need it and 24/7 availability. So, hey, if you ever have a heating emergency, no problem. They are there for you. Award-winning, 5-star reviews across the board, numerous best of the best awards. They're locally owned. They're family owned. I'm talking about DAS Mechanical, serving their Sacramento and Placer County neighbors. Just go to dasmechanical.org. Schedule everything online. That's D as in dog, A as in Sam, S as in Sam. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. And again, you can book everything online. Check out their incredible reviews and the numerous awards that they have. That's dasmechanical.org. What do you think about this tanking? What do you think about the issues going on in the NBA? Does it bother you if you're a consumer of the NBA? And by consumer, I mean somebody that invests either money or time. Like, why would you watch the game tonight? Just to watch the young players? Okay. Why else would you watch it? We can talk about this and more when we come back right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrud Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule of thumb is every 5 years for an inspection. If it's been 5 years or more, call Gabrud's now. A qualified technician will provide a thorough inspection of the electrical system to ensure it's safe or alert you to potential problems. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We are the area's recognized experts for anything electrical, and our number one priority is ensuring your home and family are safe. You've been saying you'll pay better attention to your home. Stop saying it. Make the call to Gabrud's. Talk with a real person and schedule your 12-point inspection today. Gabrud's, locally owned for more than 30 years. Gubrud's.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's. Gubrud's. Gabrud's.com.
It's the All Things Legal Show, heard every Saturday morning from 8 to 9. Join your host, Craig Ashton, with an entertaining and eclectic view of all things legal. Saturday mornings from 8 to 9. Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
NASCAR fans, the Daytona 500 is here on Fox Sports Radio. Tune in for every lap this Sunday starting at 10:30 only on Fox Sports Radio, 890 AM and 104.7 FM. Your home for Dan Patrick, Colin Coward, and Grant Napear.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, A remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Anyone watching the Olympics? You watch the Olympics? What do you like? What don't you like? At least we got something to watch here for the rest of February. Nothing wrong with that. 916-779-0929. Let's get to Mac. Mac, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I actually was calling in about the Olympics. I have to say, the U.S. women, boy, they put a hurting on Canada yesterday.
Boy, they sure did.
And
I watched a lot of that game. They didn't. Canada could barely get a shot on goal.
And one of my favorite players is Murphy from the University of Minnesota. Well, she's a little bit of a pest, and you could see she was getting under Canada's skin. She drew 4 penalties and had 3 assists. It was just wonderful. And one other thing is every time we watch the Olympics, and we're as a nation we're better in the summer than we are winter. But I
Yes.
think we should be very proud as Americans, because when we watch the women's sport, you can totally see that we have such a leg up on other countries due to Title IX. And I think as Americans, we should be very proud of that legislation and the fact that that our female athletics are superior due to that. Anyway, have a great evening, and I'll hope to talk to you later.
Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. I want to get back to what I was discussing in my opening segment as it relates to shortening the season. And we look at all of the injuries right now in the NBA. And here's my question. And without being an expert in this field of science, have we reached a point now when you look at all of the injuries that we saw with the 49ers and all of the Achilles injuries that we're seeing in the NFL and in the NBA in particular, and knee injuries, have we reached a point now where we have gone too far with the human body? And the point is, have we gone overboard with the training regimens, the speed of the athlete, the power of the athlete? I mean, physics is physics, right? And we're still dealing with the human body. And one of the great things about sports and competition has been the drive to do something that no one has ever done before, right? Setting new boundaries, going over the limit, whether it's speed in an automobile, how fast can you run, how powerful can you be, how much can you squat, how much can you deadlift? Are we getting to a point now where we've reached the breaking point? Have we reached the breaking point? Are we seeing injuries at this rate because of other aspects that so many of our youth are being pressured into playing one sport, and they're playing that sport year round, which means they're basically using their same body parts? And you know what I'm saying by that? Like, it's been thought that if you played multiple sports, that it's better for your body. Certainly, you could make the argument better for your mind. Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an individual that studies the human body, but I am looking at trends. And when I look at how many players are already out in the NBA and what we saw in the NBA playoffs last year with Halliburton and Jason Tatum and others, are we getting to a point where we've gone too far with our training regiments and the physical nature, even though in the NFL they've tried to change the rules to make it more conducive? But I'm talking about soft tissue injuries. I'm talking about non-contact injuries. Look at all of the athletes now that get hurt in the NFL that have nothing to do with contact. It's a cut. It's a pivot. It's just simply running from the sideline onto the field to go in to the game. We're seeing it all the time where we didn't used to see it. And my question is, what's the reason for that? It's not a coincidence. There's a reason for that. And what happens if we continue on this trend, right? Because after all, if you start losing a lot of the big names in sports, ratings will go down, interest will go down. That's how we are programmed as sports fans. We want to see the big names. We want to see the stars. We want to see the best of the best. Now, there are a lot of best of the best that aren't playing currently because they're hurt. And it seems to be getting worse and worse. And as Bill Simmons talks about as Adam Silver, the right guy for the job, I question that, and I have questioned that for many years. For lack of a better term, I think the guy's a gutless commissioner. I think the guy's gutless. I don't think he has a backbone at all. And I think he lets the players have way too much power. He's afraid of the players. He is afraid to put his foot down. He has gone overboard, in my opinion, with things such as NBA transparency and the last 2-minute report as it pertains to the officials. I mean, there are a lot of areas that I look at Adam Silver that I think are legitimately questioned. You can legitimately question how the league is run on a couple of areas, right? So I look at what happened with the punishment in the NBA because of the brawl that we had 2 nights ago with Detroit and Charlotte. No surprise there. The suspension. Isaiah Stewart, 7 games. I thought it was going to be longer. 3 other players also penalized. Bridges, Diabate, Duran. Bridges, and the first 2 suspended 4 games. Duran got 2 games. I think that's the right decision. By the way, for Stewart, his past, who he's been suspended 5 times already, factored into the length of his suspension. At some point, it needs to be longer than that. It does. But in terms of all the other aspects with the human body, at what point do we say enough is enough? And how do you not continue to push the envelope? Because that's what life is. We're always pushing the envelope. We're always trying to do something that nobody's ever done before, right? Whether it's the 100-meter dash, breaking not only an Olympic record, but a world record, right? World records in the swimming pool, world records. Everywhere, world record. You want to have the next world record. And then how do you obtain the next world record? In many cases, you train harder and you go more than anyone else. And you, then what? To what price are you going to have to pay later in life when you look at what you've done to your body? So it's interesting to me because it just seems we have an inordinate amount of injuries, particularly in the NBA. I don't like the way the NBA is played. I've been very open about that. I think that the game needs to be reeled back in. I think Jerry Reynolds hit it right on the head years ago when he said, get rid of the corner 3. I think that would fix a lot of things. I don't like the fact that the game is just come on down and chuck up threes. It's like baseball. I'm turned off right now by baseball because it's either you hit a home run or you strike out. As a Yankee fan, that seems like that's all that I see now. It's either a home run or a strikeout. You know, I got to watch Aaron Judge, who's a great player, hit a home run or strike out. I got to watch Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run or strike out. Right? You know, where are the Don Mattingleys of the world? Where are the Rod Carews of the world? Where are the Wade Boggs of the world? Where are those players? Right? Would you want Wade Boggs on your team to all of a sudden be a home run hitter? Would you take Rod Carew, one of the great hitters in the history of Major League Baseball, who is one of the toughest outs in baseball, and tell him we want you to now have a launch angle to start hitting home runs? Like, why? You know, you can't get to home plate until you get to first base. I just question where we're heading. What's it going to be like 10 years from now? What's it going to be like 20 years from now? What are the injury list going to look like in the NFL? And now you want to add an 18th regular season game? Is the NBA season too long? We're going from 82 games to 70 games. Would that make a difference? Would we not have the same problems when you get to game 60, 65, and 68 with teams that are out of it? Are they going to still tank? Because what is happening tonight in Utah, to me, is a disgrace. And I think that the fans that are going to the game tonight, and Ryan was nice enough to send me a screenshot of tickets that are available for the game tonight. You ready for this? Lower level tickets behind the bench, behind the scores table, $63, $45 on the lower level, $32 behind the basket, lower level. Upstairs, $7, $6. If you want to be in the middle upstairs, $11. $6 behind the basket upstairs. Right? So all the tickets that are available, I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm actually looking at an update. Section upstairs, 101, row 29, or 21, $6. That includes fees, by the way. Section 110, row 9, so not too far up in the upper deck. $9. That includes fees. That includes fees. So if you're in Salt Lake City and you want to go watch a scrimmage, you can do it. It's the Kings and the Jazz tonight in Salt Lake City. Oh, and yes, we'll talk about the scrimmage on the postgame show with Jerry Reynolds, Ryan and Sacktown, and myself. That is going to be tonight, right after the Kings and the Jazz. But Rhino, you know, I guess the one benefit to this are for people that are priced out, that never get a chance to go to an NBA game. If they're, well, here you are. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah, and the other benefit is they know in advance. This injury report's been out for almost 24 hours. So you're not walking into the arena expecting to see the best players play.
But what happens if you're a season ticket holder and you've already bought the tickets?
Well, I mean, that's just a different, it's a different animal. I'm talking about for the casuals that go to see, let's say Steph Curry and the Warriors come in once a year because it's a East Coast team. And then he's a late scratch. At least you know in advance, but it is a problem for sure.
All right. Says, hey, Grant, I'm all for the tank. I've given up watching this team since November. I've not spent a penny on this team. I'm all for next season with the new coach and the draft. I think a lot of people feel the way you do, because I think there will be a new coach, and hopefully there will be a young phenom, hopefully, that comes in and is going to be the new name, the new face of this franchise. Now, just so you know, that doesn't guarantee anything. Your last guy that you had by that name was De'Aaron Fox, right? And in his career in Sacramento, he had one playoff series. So just don't think that because you're going to get that guy, that all of a sudden your franchise is going to turn around. A lot of people thought Cousins was that guy, and, well, we know the answer to that question.
Well,
Tyrese Halliburton may have been that guy, but you traded him.
Yeah,
Yes, Ryan?
look at Cooper Flagg this year. It's going to take a couple of years. Look at Wemby. It's going to take a couple of years. And those are the quote-unquote generational guys, according to the experts.
209, Grant, I am your age. That means you're young. And I cannot watch today's NBA. I don't think the season is too long, just my opinion. I don't think the season is too long either.
No.
I think the season is more spread out than it ever has been, Ryan. And the travel is better. They've reduced travel with games that are sometimes 2 games in the same city, so you don't have to make an extra trip in. I don't think the season's too long.
I don't think the season's too... Before we get into this heavy stuff, let's get into the most important thing. Do you think we need to investigate if the beam is causing injuries to the players?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Well, it obviously it's not because it's been only lit a few times this year. So no, we can rule that out.
Okay, we can rule that out.
And by the way, the beam needs to go, in my opinion. Enough with the beam.
I disagree.
I don't. The beam it was great. It's now corny, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But that's just it had its time. It was associated with the beam team. And so like if the Kings come back from the All-Star break and win a game, all right, for their 13th win of the year, assuming they lose tonight, like you're going to light the beam and make a big deal out of it. It's become embarrassing, in my opinion. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think when other teams in the NBA are still trying to replicate a similar type of celebration, it stays. But the season's not too long, Grant. What I think it comes down to, and you've hit on the specialization and working out too much of the same body part, I don't think there's enough practice time. Adam put a great example in the chat about wrestlers not having their house shows and there being more injuries. They need more practice time where you can legitimately practice hard. You can get up and down the courts. When you get to this point in the season, it's just games. It's shoot around, which is getting a few shots up, going through the game plan, and games. So I think if you extend the calendar for the season where teams can get practice in, that would make a big difference. Look at I know college plays half the amount of games, but look at the injuries in college versus the injuries in the NBA, and those kids are all going through the same specialization in AAU, and when they're out of AAU training with 3 different trainers. I think you need to be in better shape. I don't think they are in great shape across the board.
916-779-0929. That's 779-0929. We will take a timeout. We'll talk more about this. Olden Polynice is coming up in the second segment from now, the first segment of the second hour of the show, right at 4 o'clock. So we got OP. We'll talk about this and more. That's coming up on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Call the good dudes at Broods. GUBRUDS.
Homeowners, if you have an electrical project you need done, then you need the good dudes at Gabroods. Family owned and operated for 30 years, Jay Gabrud and his team are the area's recognized experts for everything electrical, from the very basic like repairs, lighting upgrades, and whole house fans, to the biggies, panel replacements, EV stations, and backup generators. Gabroods does it all and does it right the first time. They're actually the guys their competition recommends. Gabroods. Expert, 5-star service, and always transparent, honest prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues. Visit Gabroods.com or call 24/7 and speak with a real live person. Gabroods. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods. G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabroods.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. That's 800-941-4184.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Olden Polynice next segment. We'll have them on each and every week. Kings and the Jazz tonight, or at least it says Sacramento and Utah on the schedule in front of me. Be interesting to see what the starting lineup is for the Kings this evening, and whether this will be the game that they snap their losing streak, or will they go into the All-Star break with a 14-game losing streak. Brian, what do you think? What is your which direction you going in here?
They're going into it with a losing streak, the All-Star break.
Yep.
I just don't see him snapping it. I think you laid it out perfectly yesterday. This team's ready for the break. I don't know. I just don't have a great feeling. You?
Nope. No, I do not. I do not. There's nothing that I've seen that, and you hear the Jazz beat the Miami Heat their last game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's they won in Miami their last game out. So who knows? 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. And then we'll get the All-Star break, and then it's the stretch drive. And I think what's really key, Ryan, when you look at what's going on here in Sacramento, is then what will the Kings do in the final 25 games if Sabonis is good to go every game, if Keegan Murray's back? I mean, you have to play Keegan Murray. What happens when DeAndre Hunter comes back from his eye injury? I mean, you have to play him. Then what? What are you going to do?
Well, I think the last two are no-brainers. Sabonis is the one that pauses my thoughts because he has had so many injuries this season. He'd had some last season. If this is the offseason, you are looking to move him, is that going to affect how you play him down this stretch, Grant?
That's a great question. Said Grant, you've been experienced with the Kings for decades. You've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. How does the state of today's team rank among the bad teams over the years? Is this the worst you've ever seen? I think it is. I think it's the worst Kings team that I've ever seen. Maybe the 17-win team is, but, Jerry has said this repeatedly, Ryan, on our postgame shows, considering the names and the talent that's been on this team, and yes, there have been a lot of injuries, he thinks that this is the worst team in the Sacramento Kings era.
Can't argue with it. The net rating does not argue with it. It's definitely the most disappointing Kings team in the Sacramento era. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Yes. And I think it's as poorly coached as any team that I can remember in the Sacramento era. Maybe Kenny Nat would jump to mind. There have been a lot of coaches, and I've lived through all of them, except for Phil Johnson, and I know Phil very well, but I wasn't here when Phil was actually the coach.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a more disheveled, puzzling, head-scratching job of coaching as I've witnessed this year from Doug Christie.
Yeah, and I
can't.
I just think back to last year's exit interviews, and then at Media Day this year with DeMar DeRozan being as candid as he was.
Yep.
This has been 2 times the S show, as DeMar DeRozan put it.
Oh, boy.
This year compared to last year. It's just,
wait to hear the exit interviews this year.
Oh, man, it's going to – I think we're going to get some very blunt
I think you're going to get some no-shows. I think you're going to get some players that are, I think they're just going to blow it off.
Interesting. Okay, so if we had to put odds on that, who would be the number one? Who would be the best odds of blowing it off?
I think I wouldn't be surprised if Sabonis and Levine just go, you know what? There's nothing to talk about. And DeRozan, not Levine. I think DeRozan and Sabonis, if they said we've got nothing to talk about, you already know how we feel, and they're out the door, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't. I would not. But, they're also pretty professional in how they go about their business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't have a problem with it. What are they going to say? That they what are they going to tell Doug Christie and Scott Perry?
Yeah.
And particularly Scott Perry.
What's Doug?
Scott knows that he has to have a new coach. Scott's not stupid. He's been around the block. Scott Perry is not on board with Doug Christie as the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. I mean, come on. He's just not. And he has to convince the owner who hired Doug that, hey, we need to make a change. We need to go in this direction, and it has to happen. Okay? That has to happen, and I think it will happen.
I think they're more likely to blow off the exit interview with Coach Christie than they would be the exit with the media.
Well, they might not have any issue talking with the media. Could very well be.
Sabonis, ever since December of last year, if you read between the lines, and at times this season, even early in the season, when he finally came back, you didn't really need to read between the lines. He's been pretty direct about how he feels, very short answers, but you get every single word that he's saying.
He wants out of here. I don't blame him. I don't blame him either. If I'm DeMontis Sabonis, I don't want to waste, my talent in this organization. And I think that's what's happening. I think it's going to a waste from his perspective. And I think it's time for a move. And I think he'll be gone this offseason. I think that Sabonis, especially if he gets shut down this year, which wouldn't surprise me, he won't play again for Sacramento. And I think he'll be just fine with that.
I wonder if you give Zach LaVine the same treatment. I know there's a lot of reports he is planning on picking up his option. You want to keep him healthy. If there's an off chance a team might want to take a risk with him, now you're going to have to give up a first round pick or at least a couple of seconds to get a team to take that contract. But it'll be interesting to see how the Kings approach him as well.
It's also going to be interesting to see how the league handles this if you're shutting down healthy players with, 20 games left. I mean, they're trying to crack down on all of this. They're trying to, have punishments levied at teams. You also have to be careful of that.
Well,
because there's a lot of pressure. That's the one thing you can say. There's a lot of pressure on the league office right now as it pertains to tanking and, measures that you can put in place to change this or stem the tide a little bit.
It would be really sad if the national media hones in on what the Kings are doing, because the Kings have historically never done this, and they have had a lot more injuries this year than they normally have. But it would be even more sad if the league came down on the Kings as the example for doing this. So
yeah, it would be. You're right. Yep, I agree with that. From the 530, wow, Grant, I forgot about Kenny Nat coached here during the 08-09 season. That's a name from the past. Can't believe we are back to being that pathetic. Well, that's where you're at. You are back to that. I hate to say it. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. I'm sorry, but that's where we are at. Man, how did we get here? That 48-win season from 3 years ago seems like decades ago, doesn't it, Ryan?
Yeah. Grant, I'll never forget. I think we were 3-4 games into the season, and you said, Rhino, will the Kings be over 500 again this season? I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I said after the first game, after the Kings lost to the Suns on opening night, I asked you if the Kings would be 500 the rest of the year after the first game, because I didn't think they would, and you did. But I asked the question after the first loss in Phoenix when they blew a 20-point lead, and I said, and they did. They won the next night against the Jazz, so they did get back to 500. But I think my question was, would they be over 500?
Right.
And they no. The answer to that question, no.
You have prognosticated this entire year to a T before it even started. Like
I saw what was going on.
You were getting on my nerves during training camp because the Kings hadn't had an opportunity to show you what was going on yet, but you've been spot on. So
I know BS when I hear it. I know window dressing when I see it. I know all talk and no action when I see it. And what I heard coming out of the Kings training camp was nothing but nonsense. And I said so without trying to be too critical before the team even played the first game. I kept on hearing things from Doug Christie, like he wants Keegan Murray to take 10 threes a game, and we're going to pick up 94 feet. And I'm like, well, you can't pick up 94 feet. You don't have the athletes to pick up 94 feet. You don't have the players to pick up 94 feet. Then in the middle of the preseason, it went from, 85% of the time down to 30% of the time. And I'm just like, oh, my God, this is going to be a disaster. Like, I saw it early. I saw it in October, and I was listening to Doug. I was listening to all the interviews you did, and I'm listening to him talk about how great the communication is on defense. And then, if I want to go listen to sound coming out of Atlanta or Charlotte or Orlando or Dallas or Houston, the same things would be said. Boy, we love how we're communicating. We're blah, 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 blah. It was just nonsense, though, because I knew what was being said in training camp was not obtainable. I just knew it, and I said so. And so, like, I've been wrong before. I don't have a problem when I'm wrong. But I haven't been wrong this year. I have not been wrong. Now, did I think it would be this bad? No, I didn't think it would be as bad as it is. But I said before the game started in the beginning, game 1 of 82, I forecasted this season as a disaster. I didn't think it would be this much of a disaster, but I knew it was not going to be good. And I knew it just based on all the nonsense I was hearing coming out of training camp. It was a bunch of garbage. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Really? I mean, it was a joke. It was just absurd. It was just like, stop it already. All right, Olden Polynice is going to be coming up next. 2 hours left here on a Wednesday that is featuring the Kings. I think it's the Kings and the Jazz. The rest of the NBA story with OP next here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Are you SAC Alert? Have you signed up to receive emergency alerts via phone, text, email, or app? Well, what are you waiting for? Winter is coming, and that means there is potential for storms and flooding in our county. Don't get caught off guard or left in the cold. Get urgent storm evacuation and shelter information immediately sent directly to your device. Sign up today at sacramento-alert.org. Again, that's sacramento-alert.org. It's free, quick, and easy to do, and can literally be a lifesaver.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrud Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule of thumb is every 5 years for an inspection. If it's been 5 years or more, call Gabrud's now. A qualified technician will provide a thorough inspection of the electrical system to ensure it's safe or alert you to potential problems. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We are the area's recognized experts for anything electrical, and our number one priority is ensuring your home and family are safe. You've been saying you'll pay better attention to your home. Stop saying it. Make the call to Gabrud's. Talk with a real person and schedule your 12-point inspection today. Gabrud's, locally owned for more than 30 years. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's. G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabrud's.com.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for my friends at DAS Mechanical. Did you know most homeowners are changing their heating and air systems from gas to all electric? It's about getting more energy efficiency and saving a lot more money every month on energy bills. If your current heating and air system is 15 years or older, it may be time to consider a change. Call DAS Mechanical first. Nearly all of DAS's work is gas to electric whole system changeouts. Nick and his team, they're experts. They also have 0% financing and 24/7 availability if you ever have a heating emergency. Award-winning, locally owned. It's DAS Mechanical, serving their Sacramento and Placer County neighbors for years. Save more on your energy bills. Call, text, or chat at 530-591-1055 to find out more, or go to dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Grant Napear is back every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6. This is Fox Sports, KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Rolling right along here on this Wednesday. Each and every Wednesday at this time, we will have former NBA player, former Sacramento King Olden Polynice to talk NBA basketball. OP, how are you this week?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've been talking in the first hour about the absurdity of a game tonight in Salt Lake City between the Kings and the Jazz. The Kings have half their team not playing, including Domantas Sabonis, who's missed a couple of games because of a back, but now he's on the injury list because of injury management to the knee, which really isn't an issue. Larry Markkinen of the Jazz is not playing because of rest. I'm like, rest? You got the All-Star break coming up. Rest? I mean, it's a joke. Do you have a problem with this?
I do, but this is where we are right now, Grant, and it's unfortunate. And again, I hate to be a revisionist, but it's like there was a time when guys actually valued playing basketball and laying it out on the line and just, earning their money. And so now we're in a world where, and it's crazy to say this statement, but it's true. These guys want to be 100%, and there is no such thing in sport. I don't care what the sport is. You will never be 100%. You can't even be 100% as a regular human being because it's called wear and tear on the body. So there's no such thing. But in their minds, I'm not going to play until I'm 100%.
Yeah. Is money factor into that? The huge money and the potential huge paydays for players that are at the end of their deals or have 1 year left but are still in their prime of their career? Is that factor into this?
No, I don't think it's been about money because we've seen this for a while now. Guys with contracts. I do, and I remember there was a time there were guys when they got a big contract, they got a 4-year deal, they tended, to relax. And, and they wouldn't play hard again until the next contract year. So I get all that. So again, a lot of this stuff is not new. What's new is the fact that these guys are getting paid way more money for less work. And to me, that's an issue. And I don't know if the NBA will ever address it or if individual teams are going to have to address it. But to me, you are diluting your product each and every year by having it like this.
You were on a lot of different teams, so you were in good situations, you were in bad situations. Take me back to your playing days, the last game before the All-Star break on a bad team where everything's a mess. Could you just not wait to get out of Dodge for a couple of days? What's it like right now for members of the Kings who have only won 12 games and lost 13 in a row?
Well, back then we were looking forward to going to All-Star games, to enjoy the festivities. And even that has changed. It's become something totally different now. That's what I'm saying. The NBA, I don't know when it happened, but it happened. There was a shift and things became so monetized and so random acts of weirdness. Pretty much. That's just, I can't really find the right words, but it's just some weird stuff going on. Now, there were guys that wanted to go on vacation, which they did. They would fly out. You did look forward to the All-Star break because you were putting in work. So it's different now. Like you said, guys are getting rest, but they've been resting all year. So how much more rest do you need? And okay, here's the best way I can describe it. I remember when Victor, and this is not a knock on Victor Wembanyama, but this is the state we're in. Victor Wembanyama came to the NBA, got drafted #1, and I remember I'm in Vegas, and they say he's not playing tonight for load management. And I'm saying to myself, whoa, wait a minute. What load does he have to manage right now?
Mm-hmm.
There is no load for you to manage at 19 years old. And so to me, I the writing's been on the wall. So all these guys right now, you've been resting all year, and right before the All-Star break, you have to rest some more. It makes
right. Who do we
sense.
put
But
the onus
again,
on? Because is it the players that don't want to play, or is it the management with all of these multiple training staffs now? It's ridiculous. Where's the root of the problem, in your opinion?
It's management. It's management. I don't blame players. I don't blame a player for wanting $50 million. If you want to give a guy $50 million to play 20 games, that's on you. I'm never going to knock a guy for getting his money because a team can easily, a general manager can wake up one day and cut you. Jeremy Shahan just saw that in San Antonio. They just waived him. So it's like they can make all kinds of decisions. It's just that they're making all the wrong decisions. Case in point, like you just pointed out, these teams have 15 to 20 people on the bench. Everybody's got a role. This guy does the challenges. This guy picks up the towel. This guy makes sure the towel's folded. This guy makes sure the towel's not wet. It's like, come on, people, stop. We talked about this, they less work. They have all the amenities, and they get hurt more. It makes no sense. But I don't think it's always, we talk about injuries and being hurt. I don't think all of them are injuries. I just believe that these guys refuse to play with little nagging things. Remember Wayman Tisdale? Rest
Yeah,
in
of
peace?
course. Kidding me? One of the
tizzy
best,
rules.
one of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life.
Oh my God, I loved him. But he had
Yep.
the tizzy rules because I remember
Yep.
when I came to the King.
That's
I'm
right,
like,
the tizzy
what are
rules,
the
yes.
tizzy rules? If you feel a tingle, sit on the sidelines and mingle. That was my favorite one.
Yeah.
And that's what we're living now. So he was a precursor to all of that. He
Yeah.
saw it back then. And now these guys have embraced that. If you feel any kind of tingle, sit on the sideline and mingle.
Oh, my gosh. I love it. You know, you talk about Wayman Tisdale. He's truly, OP, one of my favorite guys. Not favorite basketball players, favorite human beings. He was just the salt of the earth. Regina, the family, used to go over there for Thanksgiving. And being around Wayman Tisdale was such a joy. I never, ever came across anyone that didn't love Tizzy. What do you remember the most about him?
Oh, my God. Just him, what you just said, him being that great of a guy. What I remember most and just I value was when we used to do the Players Association trips. And he was always there. Like, he was a player rep. I was a player rep. And all the families would get together. And just being with him away from basketball, you know, him playing the bass and, you know, getting to know the family. It's just, he was so genuine. And you are absolutely right. I dare somebody to find someone with one bad thing to say about Wayman Tisdale.
Yeah. Yeah. OP, our guest here. I want to talk to you about something that Mike Breen, the NBA announcer for the Knicks, and of course does the NBA Finals, because I had the same issue when I watched Luka Doncic. I'm so tired of seeing Luka complain all the time. But Mike Breen, the voice of the Knicks last night, announcing the Knicks game, said this on the air: Towns has to stop complaining. I agree sometimes he doesn't get the benefit of the call, but it's nonstop criticizing him. Are we getting to a point now where that has to be reeled back in? Again, it turns me off to watch Luka, OP. It really takes away, and I'm not kidding you, I hate watching him complain after every single call or non-call.
Well, again, this is where we are right now. Content. People are trying to create content, whether they know it or not, consciously and subconsciously, you know, and that's all it is now. It's all content creation. You know, it gets frustrating watching a guy like that, as good as you are. You complain about everything. Referees are not right all the time, but they're not wrong all the time either. And so to me, it's very childish, you know, and a lot of these guys, you know, again, we've had it throughout the years. Guys complain, but these guys are excessively complaining. And I think that's the difference, you know, because, and if you're right as a great player, how's anybody going to know? You complain all the time. We're not even going to know when it is legit.
That's very well said. I want to talk to you about the Oklahoma City Thunder, because for a while there, I was like, just give them the trophy. They're going to win. But they're 41-13, and they're only 3 games up in the loss column of the Spurs, who have beat them 4 out of 5 times. But they're 5-5 in their last 10. Do you think the Oklahoma City Thunder are more vulnerable than last year? Because last year they were pretty dominant. They only lost 1 game all year to the Eastern Conference. We saw what happened in the playoffs, albeit they were pushed to a 7th game by, you know, I just wonder, where are we at with the Thunder?
Listen, I like the Thunder, but you know what? They were one bad referee crew away from not winning the championship. Because Denver, I mean, the non-calls against Jokic with Alex Caruso defending, well, let me not use that word. Alex Caruso hacking the crap out of Jokic and none of it being called.
Right.
And Shea with them favorable whistles he got. Listen, a different crew we're talking about a whole different champion. So with that being said, I believe that one was the one, because teams have figured some of the things out. And, you know, we used to say this: the only way to beat a team that presses is to press them. Give them a taste of their own medicine. And that's what San Antonio's showing, and a couple of other teams are showing as well. You got to hit OKC with what they do best, which is pressure defense. Put it back on them. And that's what, guys have been doing. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. It looked that way in the beginning because I think everybody was still kind of like reeling from, oh my God, they're the world champions. And then all of a sudden, because you got to remember the first 2 games they played went into double overtime.
Yeah, that's right. So if I look
which was,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, that's it.
Well, I was going to say, if I look at Oklahoma City, 41-13, but if I look at to me, there's only 3 other teams that could represent the West in the finals, and that's Denver, Houston, and San Antonio. Of those 3 teams, which one do you like the most?
Well, they're not playing right now the way they were since Jokic came back, but I still like Denver. I think, they are a solid group. San Antonio's still too young mentally for me, to get over that hump. They will eventually, but not right now. Houston needs a point guard. I don't know where they're going to go get one from, but they need a point guard. And if they don't get a point guard, it's going to be really tough for them to win anything. And I'll say this with Oklahoma City. If you ever want to see, and I used to say this all the time, if anybody, any player, any team ever want to see their future, look at your team when your best player is out. And OKC right now is getting a taste of that with Shea out. Because it's like, and he's done a great job of staying relatively healthy. And now you look at him without him right now, ooh, they look confused and lost.
If you were 28 years old in the prime of your career, how do you think you would defend Jokic if you were matched up against him?
I'll let him shoot that ugly 3-pointer.
Really?
I'd let him shoot that shot all day, every day. Joker beats you in the mid-post. Joker beats you because he's a triple threat in that post. Because he can spin off of you, he can shoot that quick shot, and he can pass out of it. But if he's standing at the top of the key shooting a 3, good luck to you, because I know what your percentage is. You're not making 100%. That's why I don't work. I used to tell people all the time, like with Giannis, I want Giannis to hit that first 3 he takes.
Yeah.
Because he's going to keep shooting them.
How about Victor Wembanyama? I mean, good Lord, 37 of 40 points that they scored in the first half. How do you guard him? Is it impossible?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And also, let them shoot 3s. I mean, that's what they want to do anyway. It's a 50-50 proposition with the 3. But also with him, I'm going with a smaller guy on him. If you've noticed, he has problems when there's little guys around his knees. It's like he loses focus because he's worried about, where am I landing? Where's my landing spot? It's those little things that people don't see. That's what I would do. And that's what OKC did with Joker by putting Caruso on him. He's just so small. Joker's concerned about, where am I going to finish my shot? He's under me. He's touching my knees. I'm frustrated by that. Big guys hate that. We hate people anywhere around our knees.
Yeah. I would love to see Muggsy Bogues on the floor with Victor Wembanyama if we could go back in time. I would love to see little 5'3" Muggsy Bogues.
We had that already, Grant. We had that.
With Yao?
Manu Bowl.
Manu Bowl, yeah.
Famous picture.
Oh, my gosh. Somebody wants me to ask you a question. They said, ask OP about Sean Bradley. I argue Sean Bradley would be Wemby in today's game. He just wasn't allowed to shoot in his day. But if he trained like today's player, could he be? Your thoughts on that?
Well, we could say Sean Bradley. We could say Ralph Sampson. There's so many guys. But the game was different. That's why when, what's his name, made that silly statement, Paulo Banchero, I was critical of that because I'm like, dude, you're looking at it from 2025, 2026 eyes. And you can't do that because if you were in the 80s, you wouldn't have the luxury of the information. So Sean Bradley was who he is, so Wembanyama has the luxury of information, of seeing all these long guys play basketball over the years and watching guards. So he picked up all the skill sets. So, it is what it is. So that's where we are. Sean Bradley was able to do what he did because he was limited in his information.
Who's the most skilled big man you ever went up against?
I mean, I went against all these Hall of Famers. I had Kareem. I had Akeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing. I mean, as far as skill set, I would have to say it's Akeem. Akeem probably had the most skill set, to be able to put it on the floor with the shakes.
Was the dream shake impossible to defend?
It was until I figured it out.
How did you figure it out? What did you do?
Because being a gambler, you realize something. He had a tell. So whenever Akeem shook left, no matter what the shake was, he would turn back. He would shoot over the left shoulder and vice versa. I figured that out before a playoff series against them, and we ended up beating them in the playoff series because I didn't stop Akeem, let's not get crazy, but I was able to limit a lot of the stuff he did, and we ended up winning the series. But then I told him myself because I gave out the scouting report. And so the following year, Akeem changed it up.
What about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's sky hook?
Oh, Grant, I got the greatest Kareem story, right?
No, go ahead. I want to hear it.
So my first year, my rookie year first game is Lakers. After they won the championship, they did the ring ceremony and everything. I check into the game, and I walk on the court. I swear on everything holy, my first words out my mouth is, "Wow, you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar." he looks at me with this incredulous look. Then they inbounds the ball. Magic throws it into Kareem. He hits me with the sky hook, and I literally watch the sky hook in slow motion in the air go in. And I'm like, wow.
Hey, I love it. Because you know what? The first game I ever did was 1988. Kareem was at the end of his career, and I'm standing on the floor, and the Lakers are warming up behind me, and Kareem is running right by me and Magic, and I'm saying the same thing. I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm standing here with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson. It was like at that time of my life, early in my career, I was like, oh, my gosh. It was a oh, my gosh moment.
Yeah, people don't realize, man, it is true. These guys were stars, They were our celebrities and our stars and our heroes. And it's unfortunate that we don't have that same reverence anymore because, things, again, have been diluted. We don't have the greats like a Frank Sinatra. Can you imagine the Rat Pack? There's no Rat Pack anymore.
No,
we won't ever have that ever again.
My great memories growing up, I'm 6 years older than you, I believe. I'm 66 now. But the Knicks with Willis Reed going against Wes Unseld of the Bullets, those were always great matchups. And, of course, Wilt Chamberlain and Willis, in the finals in 69-70 and those great matchups. But Wes Unseld and Willis Reed, Walt Frazier versus Earl Monroe before the Pearl came to New York. That was OP. That was must-see basketball.
I'm sure. I mean, those are legendary players. That's what I'm saying. And those were people I was like, oh my God. Like that was the beauty of going to All-Star Weekend, being able to see those gentlemen and just say thank you and be in awe and in admiration. We've lost that now, I mean, there's a few of them still left, Oscar's still around, but it's like, it's not the same anymore.
You talk about starting basketball later in your life. When you were growing up in the Bronx, were you an NBA fan? Did you watch NBA basketball?
Not at all. Not at all. My first game I ever saw was not the game of the century, but the game for me, it was Magic Bird, Indiana State versus Michigan State. That was my first taste of basketball. And then I was like, wow. This looks fun.
Sure. So you were able to grow up in New York City without getting caught up in the Knicks, huh? That's incredible to me.
Without getting caught up, I was a Laker fan.
Wow.
Because of Magic Johnson from Michigan State, from that finals game to the Lakers. I'm like, that's the guy. I just saw him, and then I saw the other guy that he played against in Boston. and every year they're playing against each other in the finals. So I'm like, okay, I like these two guys.
Yeah, because I was thinking when you
I
were in
just
high
kept
school.
watching them.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe I'm doing this off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong, but Bernard King was the main player on the Knicks, and he was great.
Yes, Bernard King, Cassie Russell, all them guys were there. But Bernard King was a guy I like watching play. But again, I was not a Knicks fan. I got
you.
I don't know. I like watching the guys win the trophy. But and again, in the 80s, it was those two teams. I think they went in there. They either one of them won it like 7 or 8 out of the 10 years. It was just that's all I saw. You know.
I hear you, man. Hey, great segment. I appreciate it. Look forward to chatting with you next week and enjoy. Well, all right. So I'll ask you. I'm not in the All-Star weekend anymore. What about you? Will you watch any of the All-Star festivities this weekend?
I doubt it. I mean, it's here in LA, so I'm trying to stay away from all the traffic and the headache. I'm just going to be at home. You know, it is what it is. I might get out one of the 2 nights, but I'm not doing the events and all that because, again, nobody puts effort into any of this stuff. I don't care what it is. You know, rising skills or rookie, whatever. I don't care what it is. There's no effort. There's no love of the game.
Yeah. I understand. All right, man. Have a good weekend anyway, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Thanks very much.
All right, Grant.
Take care. Well, that's great stuff. I love having OP on. Wow. Going back in time. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. Hey, I want to talk to you about Village Financial Group and Spencer, the broker owner for 25 years. I've known him, met him in the early 2000s. And we talk about the expected Fed rate cuts and what that's going to do for the housing market, be a housing boom and bidding wars. And if you are in the market, if you're thinking about selling your home, now is the time to plan. And you want someone you can trust. You want someone that's experienced. That's Spence with Village Financial Group. 30 years in the mortgage brokering business. He is very experienced. And here's something else to keep in mind. He is a financing specialist, and he has access to private money, which will expedite the process and get you your loan quicker. Call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And hey, there are thousands of listings now. You can go to their website, vfgloans.com. That's vfgloans.com, and you can check it out yourself. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Your phone calls, text messages when we come back right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Are you SAC Alert? Have you signed up to receive emergency alerts via phone, text, email, or app? Well, what are you waiting for? Winter is coming, and that means there is potential for storms and flooding in our county. Don't get caught off guard or left in the cold. Get urgent storm evacuation and shelter information immediately sent directly to your device. Sign up today at sacramento-alert.org. Again, that's sacramento-alert.org. It's free, quick, and easy to do, and can literally be a lifesaver.
If you need a new set of top brand tires, Downtown Ford Sacramento has great news. For a limited time, we'll beat any competitor's price on a set of 4 tires. Then, kick you down a mail-in rebate of up to $150, and that includes major brands like Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Hankook, and more. Some restrictions apply. Visit downtownfordsacramento.com for details. Downtown Ford Sacramento on Howe Avenue. Online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Yes, women Tisdale. You know, it's interesting to hear Olden Polynice talk about playing against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then we talked about, you know, growing up. When I was growing up, you could not get tickets to see the Knicks play. You just couldn't. And so there were the Nets that started off as the Long Island Nets, and they played not too far from where I grew up. I shouldn't say the Long Island Nets, the New York Nets on Long Island. And they played in Comac, Long Island, and they used to play in a bubble, right? It was like a big tent. And you would go out there before the Nassau Coliseum opened, and you were able to go watch Rick Barry play for the Nets on Long Island. And you could get tickets to go watch some of the real top players in the world of professional basketball. And it was actually a lot of fun. I didn't go a lot, but I used to go occasionally. And going out to Comac, out in Suffolk County, you ready for this? It was a 4,000-seat arena. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. 4,000, right, to 6,000. Like, in other words, they would fit extras in when the Nets were there. And the Nets played there, I want to say 1 year or 2 years. It wasn't long because they then moved into what was being built at the time, that Nassau Coliseum. And then you would go to a brand new arena, Nassau, in Hempstead, and you would see Rick Barry play. You would see Dr. J play, and some of the other great players of the ABA. And it was a Knicks town, and it will always be a Knicks town, and Knicks. But it was really cool growing up and being able to go and watch the Nets with Dr. J, Rick Barry, and some of the other great players that played in the ABA back then. So I have memories that I'm like, wow. You know, I was so happy I got a chance to experience that. Let's get to Dave in Elk Grove. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Grant, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey, just wondering, I want to talk a little hockey with you. You're as passionate about hockey as I am. Did you get a chance to see the USA versus Canada women's game yesterday?
Yes, I watched the first period, and then I watched the last 10 minutes of the third period. I missed the second period.
Well, I'm a passionate hockey fan, and that USA versus Canada women's rivalry is as good as it gets. I almost like it more than the men for the reason that the men's team every 4 years it gets shaken up, and the guys play against their own teammates. And this USA versus Canada women's rivalry has been brewing for a long time, and the women are as chippy and as scrappy as the men. And I'd almost rather watch the USA versus Canada women than the USA versus Canada men, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I understand the point you're trying to make. It was definitely fun to watch, and I'm very well aware of the rivalry between USA and Canada in the women's hockey as well. But I can't say I would rather watch that than the men. I think the USA and Canada have had some phenomenal, including last year in the during All-Star break in the Four Nations tournament and in previous Olympics. I think it's hard to beat the USA and Canada in men's hockey. But go ahead.
No, that was the one where they had 3 scraps in the first 10 seconds.
When they had what?
I think it was.
Yes,
They
that's
had 3
correct.
fights in
That's correct. Yes, they did.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm just being facetious, but this USA versus Canada women's, they've been going at it for so many years. The same players, and
The game wasn't competitive, though. I
often
mean, the one thing about USA and Canada that was played yesterday, the game wasn't even competitive. It was like it was so lopsided. That's why I didn't even. I mean, I didn't watch the whole game. It was just so lopsided. There was no drama in the game.
No, I look forward to hopefully a gold medal matchup between those two teams.
Yep.
And Canada did have their captain and star player out, so I'll give them credit for that. But yeah, I often ask this question, and I'd like your opinion on it, because I ask a lot of my Canadian friends, if you grew up in Canada as a hockey player, what would you want more, a Stanley Cup or a Olympic gold medal? And for my Canadian friends, I get about a 50-50 response.
Well, I have many, many friends, and thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. I have many friends from Canada that played in the National Hockey League. Many friends that I'm still in touch with today. And I went to college with many of those individuals who had long NHL careers: George McPhee, Brian McClellan, Dave Ellett, Gary Galley. I can go on and on. Ken Morrow. I've never asked that question. But I will tell you, Brian McClellan has won the cup as a player, as a general manager. I was with George McPhee at his house when the Stanley Cup was delivered, and they put that Stanley Cup on a table, and the third name on the cup for the Vegas Golden Knights is George McPhee. And I will tell you that I had many, 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 many conversations with George about being a player in the NHL, losing in the finals with the Vancouver Canucks as the number 2 man behind Pat Quinn, losing in the Stanley Cup Finals as the general manager in Washington, losing in the Stanley Cup Finals in the inaugural season to the team that he put together in Washington, the Capitals, and the pain. And I remember sitting in Fort Lauderdale with George, having dinner the year that they won the cup. And we talked about this very subject, about the void that was in his life. And he said to me, he goes, you know, Napes, he goes, I don't know how many more chances we're going to have. And we went through his whole history. And he said, you know, like, I've been in this game all my life, and I still don't have my name on the cup. And I like our team this year, but, you know, I've liked my team in the past, and we haven't won the cup. And he goes, I'm not sure. Like, you know, he talked about his wife and how at some point, you know, she wants him to retire and they want to enjoy their life. And he was talking to me, he goes, you know, Napes, he goes, I'm not really sure, like, what my life would be without hockey. And I said, George, your life would be miserable without hockey, because that's all you know, and it drives you. It is your makeup as a person. And I said, even if you retire, you're going to be involved in hockey somehow, some way, because you will never be happy without hockey. And he said, Napes, I got to get my name on that cup. And he goes, I don't know how many chances I'm going to have. And that year, and we had dinner. I can't remember what month it was, but it was in the winter. I want to think it was February. And they won the cup that year, and they actually beat Florida to win the cup. And I know what it meant to him, but I've never asked him, because he didn't play in the Olympics, if it would have been a gold medal or a Stanley Cup. But I can only tell you from being around so many of these players from small Canadian towns. George was from Guelph, right outside of Toronto. And the other players that I've met were mostly from Ontario. They always talked about winning the cup, even in college. You know, when the Stanley Cup playoffs would come on and we'd watch the games together and we saw the Stanley Cup, that's all they talked about. Like when they saw the cup, it had such a special meaning and their dream, and they kept on talking about it. They don't play for the money when the playoffs start. They play to hoist the cup. And I think I told you the story. So when I was at George's and we end up holding the cup, George and I are holding the Stanley Cup, and then I grab the cup to see how whole, and he goes, Napes, don't hoist the cup. Because I was going to hoist it over my head. I goes, Napes, do not hoist the cup. And I'm like, why? He goes, because you're not on the team. And I'm like, okay, I won't hoist it. And I had it right, I was holding it in front of my waist. And the tradition is you really need to be part of the franchise to hold the Stanley Cup over your head, because I was going to raise it over my head. And he said, Napes, don't do that. I'm like, okay, I won't. But I didn't know why. But to have the Stanley Cup in my hands and then to look at all of the names and to see my team that I loved, the team that I rooted for in 1994, and see all the names on that cup, it brought back so many memories and some of the greatest players in the history of the game. To hold that Stanley Cup was one of the neatest things for me, but then to see George, to see his name on there, like, wow. It was a wow moment for me. It really was. Dave, Ryan did not cut you off. I cut you off because we started getting bad feedback on the phone call. If you want to call back, Dave, I'd be more than happy to put you back on, but I cut you off, not Rhino. We'll be right back. Don't forget Grant's Rant coming up at 5 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
We are Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. That's 800-941-4184.
Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues. Call Gabroods or visit Gabroods.com. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
If you can't remember the last time you had your home heating system inspected, it's probably time. Right now, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort is offering a $79 complete heating and air system inspection. We'll check your entire system, clean it up, and make sure it's running perfectly. Call or visit us online today and schedule your $79 winter system inspection at SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
NASCAR fans, the Daytona 500 is here on Fox Sports Radio. Tune in for every lap this Sunday starting at 10:30 only on Fox Sports Radio, 890 AM and 104.7 FM. Your home for Dan Patrick, Colin Coward, and Grant Napear.
You know, I think about different decades, and we've talked so much about this on the show today, how the game always evolves and athletes evolve and they get faster and they get stronger and the rules change and the way the game's played changes for the most part. And I think back to, you know, when I was growing up and I was talking with Olden Polynice, he grew up as a Lakers fan and I grew up only as New York teams. I couldn't imagine rooting for, you know, a team on the other side of the country. But I always tell stories about, you know, watching, you know, Mickey Mantle play in person. You know, in that era, you know, Harmon Killebrew was a phenomenal player with the Twins. And I remember watching him play. Carl Yastrzemski, you know, he had the Triple Crown in 67. You know, like, even though he played for that team north of New York, you know, seeing Yaz play in person was unbelievable. Seeing, you know, Frank Robinson play and seeing, you know, then in the 70s, the great Jim Palmer, Tom Seaver, you know, Pete Rose, right? And I can go on and on about, you know, the Catfish Hunters of the world and Sal Bando and Reggie Jackson. And I mean, I love that era of baseball. But, you know, in the NFL, you know, having such a blessing to have season tickets that my dad had for the Jets and the Giants and, you know, the true NFL and the AFL, and seeing the Joe Namaths of the world and seeing Johnny Unitas play in person with the High Tops and watching Jim Brown play at Yankee Stadium in the mid-'60s when the Browns came in to play the Giants. And I remember going to that game as a young boy and my dad telling me the significance of who we were going to watch and that, you know, I was going to be watching greatness. And it was the same thing when, you know, I used to love watching Bob Hayes play. You know, Bob Hayes was the fastest man in the world, and he was the great Olympic sprinter who was then number 22, the wide receiver for the Cowboys. And I used to love it because Homer Jones was on the New York Giants, and Homer was one of the fastest people in the world. And Fran Tarkenton and the Homer Jones, and Homer just passed away, was the best passing combination that the Giants had, and it was the only offense that they had. And Homer Jones, number 45, was somebody that I just loved watching play. Like, I just loved being at Yankee Stadium watching Homer Jones play in person. But I'm thinking about, you know, all of the amazing players that I watched with my own eyes in person in the NFL. Some of the greats of all time, you know, the quarterback position, just about every position, you know, the Bubba Parises of the world. And, like, incredible Bubba Smith, I meant Bubba Smith, the Mike Curtis, the great middle linebacker for the Colts, number 32. I mean, he was amazing. I always talk about Larry Wilson, the hardest hitting player I've ever seen in the NFL, the safety for the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals. Jim Hart, quarterback, Cardinals. Roger Staubach. All the teams that used to come into Yankee Stadium every year for a divisional game. Sonny Jurgensen, who I watched play many times, who just passed away at the age of 91. Like hockey, going to see Boom Boom Jeffrey on. Eddie Jockman, the goalie. Yes, Ryan, no mask when I went to go watch hockey in the 60s. The goalies didn't have masks. Then watching, Brad Park and then Phil Esposito and Yvon Cornwallier, Guy Lafleur of the Canadiens, being at a game with the Flower and the Mahavalish brothers. And again, Cornwallier, Bob Gainey, Ken Dryden in goal. Like that may have been the greatest hockey team ever assembled. But to watch Guy Lafleur, number 10, for the Montreal Canadiens, it was like, wow. I remember being at Madison Square Garden going, I'm watching the Flower play. It was amazing. Now, those are the memories. I love OP going back and talking about his wow moment, being on the court for the first time with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And as a kid, watching all of these athletes, I never dreamed that, someday, I would be on the field or on the court or standing in the Rangers locker room with a player on the Rangers who was one of my dear friends. Like, I didn't, you don't think of that when you're going to Madison Square Garden as a kid. You don't think about that watching the games that we watched. And to see everything come full circle and, meeting Marv Albert in junior high school and then decades later sitting courtside at Madison Square Garden announcing a Knicks game with Marv Albert sitting 3 seats to my left with Walt Frazier on the other side of Marv. I'm like, what are you kidding me? I'm sitting next to Walt Frazier, who I idolized growing up, winning the championship against the Lakers in 69-70. Clyde Frazier. Like as a young broadcaster, that I know what that wow moment was like for OP. I had that wow moment when I walked into Madison Square Garden as an announcer for the first time. I'll never forget it. To have my dad there and my aunt there and my brother there and like my close friends there, like that was a celebration. Like it didn't get any better than that. So I love OP reminiscing. I love him, his wow moment going onto the court and taking on the Lakers and seeing Kareem on the court for a game that he was playing in the first time and saying, wow, you're Kareem. I mean, I get that. Now, I'm not like that now. I've told you the only thing that over the last several decades that I had a wow moment was when I met Al Davis, when Bruce Allen walked me to the middle of the practice field to meet Al. That was a wow moment for me. That's something I'll never forget. I'll never, ever forget meeting Al Davis and then being in meetings with Al and talking with Al on the phone. And I was just like, wow, like those are wow moments. But the longer you're in the business, you don't really have the wow moments when you meet the Jim Nances of the world and Mike Tirico's and Al Michaels. And like, it's not a wow moment like meeting Al Davis or being at Madison Square Garden for the first time as a broadcaster in a place you grew up. Like those are wow moments. So I get it. I'm very grateful that OP shared that. And I love having OP on. I hope you've enjoyed his segments as much as me because it is phenomenal. But the tradition of sports like the Stanley Cup, like you can even talk about today, you can see how much winning the Stanley Cup means to the players that win the cup, right? Like it's unbelievable to see the significance of that trophy. It is the symbol of the National Hockey League. It is what they play for. It has true meaning, unlike the Lombardi Trophy, right? Or the Larry O'Brien Trophy. It's not the Stanley Cup. It's just not. The Stanley Cup is so symbolic, so unbelievable. And again, the meaning for the players and the coaches that play in that sport, it is what they all obtain for. And that's why I love the Stanley Cup playoffs as much as I do, because to me, it's so pure. I guess that's the word I would use. It is so pure. It hasn't changed over all of the decades that I've watched sports. Hockey is the most pure sport compared to baseball, basketball, or football, because they all play for the cup. And it's a generational thing. Growing up in the small towns and skating on the ponds that were frozen in the winter and shoveling the snow and everything else, it hasn't changed through the decades. It is so unbelievable. Somebody said, Grant, was Al Davis a nice man? Al was always nice to me, was always very respectful. I never had a problem with Al in my meetings with him. You knew who was in charge. He was the boss, but he was always very nice. So for me, would I say Al Davis was a nice man? He was to me. So I can't say anywhere else. I never saw Al not be nice to anyone, but I wasn't around Al like that much to comment on it. But I can only say that when I was in Al Davis's presence, whether it was privately or publicly, he was always very nice to me. And whenever we did see each other, he would always ask how I was doing. So I can only speak on what it was like for me. From the 916, Grant, do I think Scott Perry will keep Doug as coach next year? I don't see any way in the world that he would. Say, Grant, I also love how they give the cup to the players first, the captain. In the NFL, when they give the Lombardi to the owner, it doesn't seem the same. 100%. 100%. It is an incredible tradition in the National Hockey League. It's incredible. It really is. All right, if you want to call about some of your memories, we can do that. 916-779-0929. People always say, who's the greatest baseball player I ever saw? Well, that was Mickey Mantle. People would ask me the same question of football. I say Johnny Unitas. Like, I'm talking about the true legends of their sport. I'm talking about generational players like Johnny Unitas with the black tops, the high black tops. Johnny Unitas. Like, watching him play in person, wow. Like, you knew you were watching greatness. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm at the stadium. Even as a kid, I would say that. I can't believe I'm watching Johnny Unitas play. Like, even as a kid, you realized how special that was. I mean, it's the truth. It is the truth. I didn't have that same feeling when I was watching the Nets. I don't believe I had that same feeling in the Nets because, you know, the ABA was second fiddle to the NBA. But I will tell you, it was really cool going into Comac on Long Island as I want to say 9 years old, and watching some of those players that ended up being the greatest basketball players of all time. And it was very cool to be in such a tiny venue, and the players were so close to you. And being the same thing at the Nassau Coliseum and the red, white, and blue basketball that they played in the ABA, and seeing Dr. J play and seeing Rick Barry play. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. Incredible. Somebody said, just curious if you think some of the players that played when OP did that are not talked enough, that are the Mr. Irrelevant type of players, like Isaiah Thomas, Keon Ellis. Well, I wouldn't never say that about Isaiah. He was a top 5 MVP candidate in Boston. Keon is not, you can't put him in that category because he hasn't played long enough and he's not, but I know what you're talking about. Said, would you say that Al would have a problem how his son is running his franchise? Yes, I would say that. If Al were alive today, yes, I would. I absolutely would. Don't forget, Grant's Rant is coming up at the start of hour number 3. What about your greatest memories when you think about what OP talked about, his wow moment? Do you have a wow moment in sports? What's your wow moment? I've given you some of my wow moments. 916-779-0929. I love that you have OP on weekly When he played, he seemed a bit grumpy, but it's great to hear him talk. Great stories, funny and honesty. Thanks. That's Craig. Grant's Rant next here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Hey, it's Grant Napear for my friends at DAS Mechanical. Did you know most homeowners are changing their heating and air systems from gas to all electric? It's about getting more energy efficiency and saving a lot more money every month on energy bills. If your current heating and air system is 15 years or older, it may be time to consider a change. Call DAS Mechanical first. Nearly all of DAS's work is gas to electric whole system changeouts. Nick and his team, they're experts. They also have 0% financing and 24/7 availability if you ever have a heating emergency. Award-winning, locally owned. It's DAS Mechanical, serving their Sacramento and Placer County neighbors for years. Save more on your energy bills. Call, text, or chat at 530-591-1055 to find out more, or go to dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Last night, the Spurs ran into an injury-riddled Los Angeles Laker team. LeBron wasn't there. Luka wasn't there. Austin Reeves not there as well. The final margin was 28. A shorthanded team losing big to a contender. Big deal, but the score was not the story. Victor was. 40 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals in 26 minutes. Doing it against a depleted Laker roster is not what makes it special. It's the efficiency and the timestamp that demand attention. In the shot clock era, it's just the 5th time a player has scored at least 40 points in 26 minutes or less. That is rare air reserved for the most explosive scorers in the league. Every time Wembanyama steps onto the floor, we see something new, a reminder that his ceiling may not exist. The frightening part for the rest of the NBA is not what he did last night, it's what he's going to do. After all, he's just 22. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it really easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of General tires. Go to TireRack.com/Dan to see their General tire test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
At Heartland Steakco, they take their bacon seriously, from their double smoked hickory to their honey jalapeno, which brings sweet and spicy together for the perfect combination, to their all-new bacon flavors like whiskey peppercorn with its smoky richness, to their applewood double smoked bacon that's smoked over real applewood chips. Ordering is easy at heartlandsteakco.com. And right now, when you spend $199.99 or more, you'll get free shipping plus 2 pounds of bacon with promo code BACON. Taste the Heartland difference.
KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
It's time for Grant.
All right, Rhonda, what do we have here on this Wednesday?
Grant, OP talked about All-Star Weekend. He's in LA. He's not going to be attending. But if you're the NBA and you want to drive up interest for the weekend, you've got to find a way to involve at least a representative from every team in some type of activity that weekend. The Kings will have no representation at All-Star Weekend. Second is an updated rant. You remember Jackson Hayes and the forearm shiver to the mascot, G Wiz in Washington?
Yes.
Well, G Wiz has hired legal counsel to go after Jackson Hayes.
Does the cheerleader that got knocked down as a result of the push get some of that money too if he wins?
You know, no update on the cheerleader.
Okay.
But, and, you know, maybe I'll look into this. I'll see who the cheerleader was. But Joaquin McCoy told TMZ that he is now representing the person Hayes decked when the Lakers were in town for a showdown with the Wizards on the 30th. Last but not least, Anthony Slater came out with an extensive article on ESPN.com today talking about where the Kuminga and Warriors situation went wrong. And Grant, it got so petty that the Warriors were telling Kuminga him or his people were taking too many snacks from the building at one point.
There's a lot of good choices there. I don't necessarily agree that 30 teams need to be represented at All-Star Weekend. I just don't. First of all, there are too many activities that, in my opinion, are going on at All-Star Weekend that are nonsense, and I think that's part of the problem. I think it's now diluted. I've never been a fan of having WNBA players at the NBA All-Star Game. I don't think it's right. I don't think that the NBA should have their personnel at the WNBA All-Star Game. I've never been a fan of that. I don't like it. I think it's unfortunate that that's where we're at now, that it's almost like you got to be politically correct by having the WNBA involved in the NBA. To me, it's just a joke. I think that the celebrity, game is a joke. I don't understand why anyone would watch that. So now I'm going to take somebody on a 12-win Sacramento Kings team, and I'm going to stick them in an event. And because I'm a Sacramento Kings fan, that's going to make me watch it? No. Do I think that there needs to be some changes with the format? Yes. Do I think that they could do a better job? Yes. But no, I don't think that all 30 teams need to be represented somehow, some way. Who are you going to have on the Kings? I mean, if you're really going to be, if you really want somebody on the Kings to be represented somehow or some way, all right, Ryan, I'm going to stop my rant right now and then continue it. Who are you going to pick? Who are you going to have?
Max Reynaud should have been part of the Rising Stars.
Okay, so let's say you had Max Reynaud as part of the Rising Stars. That game is on Saturday, is it not?
Might be Friday. No, it's Friday, I think.
All right, so it's Friday. So you would have some extra Kings fans watching the Friday night, but it wouldn't do anything for Saturday or Sunday, right? So you think Max should be on the team? All right. I can go along with that. But is that really going to make a difference? Is that really going to change anything? Is that going to really help the NBA product grow because Max Reynaud was in the Rising Stars Challenge? Not in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. What do you think? Bottom line is the All-Stars that perform on Sunday, they're the reason why we're having this discussion because they have let down the sport and they have let down the standards of the game by how they have performed as of late with their lackluster, don't care, don't want to do anything more than jog, don't want to play. They're the reason for this. It's the same thing that we saw in the Pro Bowl, which is why there is no more Pro Bowl game in Honolulu. The NBA All-Star Game watched what the NHL did last year and said, okay, we need to make it more of an international competition. So that's what they're trying to do now. Unfortunately, you've got the biggest stars of the sport that are hurt and not playing in this weekend's All-Star festivities. So I don't know what the answer is other than it is a moneymaker for the NBA. And in all fairness, the NBA does do a great job on All-Star Weekend. They really do. I mean, they do a heck of a job. And I can't criticize them for that. But in terms of like actually spending time and watching the all-star activities. There's just too many of them. The slam dunk contest has become a joke. I mean, it's just an absolute joke. I can't even watch it anymore. And the fact that you had a G League player win it for 3 years in a row, who, by the way, is not in the slam dunk contest this year, is just unbelievable to me. Like, you're having a G League player so in order to entice the slam dunk contest, you've got to get the stud in the G League to have him, and then he wins it 3 years in a row. That's what's wrong with the NBA All-Star Weekend. Like, they're in desperation because the players don't want to do it. Like, you didn't have any problem with Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan being in the slam dunk contest. You didn't have any problems, with stars wanting to be in the slam dunk contest. It's the same thing in the home run derby now. You think Aaron Judge is going to be in the home run derby? Nope. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, it really is. Everything's diluted now. Sports is diluted. All-star games diluted, except for in hockey last year. Now, in a typical year, which is not this year because it's the Olympics, the All-Star game in hockey is a joke too. All right? It's the same thing. But at least when you change the format, like they did last year in the NHL, to have the Four Nations tournament, it was great with a capital G. It wasn't just good. It was great because the players care about it. As OP said, that's not the case in the NBA. And so you're left with what you're left with. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed fans calling up this show Tuesday. And you're filling in for me Monday on President's Day, are you not?
I am indeed.
All right. So maybe you'll take calls on Monday about the fiasco that will be All-Star Weekend.
Wait, does that mean I have to watch it?
Yes, you have to watch it.
Oh.
Or at least be aware of what's going on.
All right. Since it's
so that's my rant for today. No, I don't think, Ryan, that every team needs to be represented. No, I don't.
Grant, I just think it doesn't hurt. What does it hurt? Because every team, whether they're good or bad, is going to have a segment of super fans that are going to tune in to see their player. Might
All right,
not
so
be
if you have Max
significant.
Reno on the Rising Stars Challenge, you got to take someone off from another team, and then maybe they're not represented.
But maybe they're represented somewhere else.
Yeah, but maybe they're not. I mean, there's no way you can get all 30 teams represented. I don't see how.
I guess what I'm saying is there is enough going on where you could. You just laid out how many ridiculous events they have going. There is enough going on.
So if you're a player on an NBA team, do you want to be participating in a ridiculous, absurd event? Just be there? I don't think so.
Probably not. But do you understand my overall point with that?
Yes, I do. But I don't think it really makes a difference to the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I understand.
Nothing on the cheerleader, by the way, but there is nothing that I have found, but there is an update to that. So the attorney that is representing G Wiz, the Wizards mascot, represented Jackson Hayes' girlfriend in a lawsuit about domestic violence towards Jackson Hayes. So, that story deepens. How about that?
Wow. Adam Shine, who is on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio, put out a tweet earlier that said, I love the NBA. We counted a minimum of 10 teams that would rather lose than win. It's a monster problem that kills and ruins the regular season, kill the draft lottery, worst team gets the top pick and down the line, cut the regular season to 70 games. This must happen. No back-to-backs. And then he said on his show, Will Hardy, who is a good young coach, is literally playing to lose the game. He's not alone. I think the Kings are doing the same thing as well. And it is a very sad trend that has been going on in the NBA.
Grant, how does that theoretically change or stop teams from tanking if the worst team gets the number one pick? Teams will still be positioning to be the second worst, the third worst, the fourth worst.
Maybe. I don't know.
What about locking in draft lottery positions? Okay. I'm going to give you two options. What about locking in lottery positions maybe a month before the season ends? Because the teams that are that bad and that far out of it,
maybe,
it's not going to change that much. What will change is a team that is fringe in the play-in that could fall out and say, oh, we want to get a better pick, and now we're really going to tank. The second thing would be, and I don't know how you would go about doing this, but if you're going to use the ping pong balls and the process behind closed doors, can you increase or decrease odds for teams based on whatever formula the NBA comes up with to determine whether a team tanked on a night or didn't tank?
I just think it's so sad that we're talking about this every single year, and we still have the same issue.
Grant, it's getting earlier and earlier. We haven't
Yeah.
even had the All-Star break yet.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. 916-779-0929. That is one of the stories. I don't know if you care about this other story. Stephen A. Smith, who has an opinion on everything now, finds himself in really hot water. He doesn't care. He is upset because he believes that critics are trying to cancel him because he said it would have been nice of Bad Bunny to perform in English. And welcome to America, where no matter what you say, you are going to have people trying to cancel you. I know because I was one of those people. So I get it. I understand. All right? It is what it is. And when you are in a position like Stephen A. Smith and you're constantly making comments and your opinions, which is what he's paid for, and he's paid a lot of money, that is going to happen. And I think he has also been guilty of directing criticism at others, which have put them in harm's way. So I think he needs to look in the mirror here, because I think that he has said things in the past that have had others, for lack of a better term, canceled. So, yeah, I don't feel bad for him. It is what it is. He's not worried about it. He said so. And I'm glad he said that. But welcome to America.
So, Grant, I know you're super into this, but
Yes.
one of the Real Housewives of whatever city
Right.
made comments that were similar and along those lines.
Right.
And the studio has taken her from the show now, and it looks like she's being
Really?
dropped from something else as well.
Because of her comments about the halftime show?
Yeah, let me see if
Wow.
I can get a quote here.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it says, quote, "I don't speak Spanish. I would have liked to have known the words he was saying," end quote. That's an excerpt of what, or excerpt.
I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with that comment. I don't know why anyone would have a problem with that, with what Stephen A. Smith said. And what I mean by having a problem, I understand a difference of opinion, but I don't understand, because somebody has a different opinion than you do, that you have to cancel that person. Like, aren't we in a country of free speech? And yes, there are ramifications for free speech. There are consequences of free speech. But, like, there are a lot of people that have a problem with the fact that in America, where the primary language is English, that the halftime show was performed in a different language. There are a lot of people, both celebrities, sportscasters, ordinary citizens. There are many people. There are also many people that found it to be great, that had no problem with it, applauded it, commended it. So why is it that if there's a difference of opinion between you and your neighbor or your partner or your son or daughter or best friend, that you have to cancel them? Like, who cares? Like, are we so damn politically sensitive in America still in 2026 that we're not adult enough, that we're not brave enough, that we're not mature enough to handle different opinions? It's just disgraceful. This country has not moved forward in any way, shape, or form as it comes to this subject. And I know, because I'm a victim of cancel culture, and so I know what it's like. And I'll never, ever, ever apologize for saying all lives matter. Never. I mean, never. And Stephen A. Smith should never apologize for what he said, that it would have been nice of Bad Bunny to perform in English if that's how he feels. And there should not be any criticism coming his way just because he's one of the biggest media members in the sports world that we have, nor should whoever this individual is you're talking about on the Housewives show, shouldn't have to apologize for that. That's how you feel. And if people disagree, then that's fine, right? We can agree to disagree. It's unbelievable to me. It really is. It's just unfreaking believable to me. I have an opinion on this, but I haven't given you my opinion. And the reason why I haven't given you my opinion is not because I'm afraid of the consequences, because I don't care anymore. I've been very open about this. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, if I say something on the air about the halftime show and I get people that want to cancel me, I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. I've been there. I've already done it. It doesn't matter to me. My life goes on. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be happy. I don't care. But I don't do it now, not because I'm afraid of the consequences. I don't do it because I'm just afraid. I'm so tired of the aggravation. It's a pain in the neck. Like my social media, texts, I don't care. And here's what I've also understood. All right. Like the people that tune into the Grant Napear show are tuning in because they want my opinions on sports, right? They don't give a damn whether I'm a Republican or a Democrat or how I feel about this individual or that individual that's in the political arena. They don't want to know how I feel about this or that in politics, nor do I care. So, like, if I don't care about your political preference and your political opinion, you don't care about mine, okay? It's the same reason why I was critical of the athletes in the Olympics that are talking about what's going on in America. Like, I don't want to hear it. Shut up and play your sport. Okay, I don't want to hear it. Just like you don't want to hear me talk about politics. And so I don't. And so that's why I said on Monday, when I opened up the show, I'm not talking about the halftime show. And the reason why I'm not going to talk about it is two reasons. Number one, I didn't watch it. I was outside talking with my friends. And number two, no matter what I say, it's going to be misconstrued by 50% of my audience. And then I'm going to have another label and I'm going to have to go through this crap all over again. And you know what? I don't have the energy for it. And I don't care. And I really mean that. I don't care if you flip the station because you don't think that, I'm on the same page as you as the halftime show. Then if you're that shallow of a human being, if your life is that damn sorry, if you are so shallow as a human being that you can't accept somebody else's opinion, I don't want you listening to the show anyway. So I don't even go there. I stay away from it. I don't know what else to say. I think I've said it as well as I can say it. And I would also, all right, recommend that for people that are getting into the sports broadcasting industry, you're in the sports field. Talk sports, okay? Now, in this case, that kind of intertwines with sports because it was the halftime show of the biggest event annually in America. I had no problem criticizing the halftime show last year. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was the worst halftime show I've ever seen, and I came out and said so. Nobody had a problem with it. Nobody had any issue with me saying that. A lot of people agreed. Some people disagreed, but that was fine. The people that disagreed, I didn't cancel them. I didn't go, wow, you can't listen to the show or my podcast anymore, or you can't follow me on X anymore. I'm going to block you. Man, it's stupid. It really is stupid. I'll tell you what's not stupid. All right. And that's using somebody that is super experienced, trustworthy to handle your real estate transactions. That's not stupid. That is very, very smart. And that's why I like talking about Spencer with Village Financial Group, because he's been doing this for 30 years in the mortgage brokerage business, right? And it's a family-owned business. He's got access to private money. He's a financing specialist, and he will get the job done from you from start to finish. All right, it's like a white glove service, a boutique type of a shop. One shop, one individual from the start line to the finish line. And the fact that he's a financing specialist with access to private money, yes, that will expedite things, and you will be so happy if you are buying a home, selling a home, home equity line of credit. When it comes to your real estate needs, Spence is the guy. You can also check out the thousands of listings by going to VFGloans.com. That's VFGloans.com. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. We'll get to the text message and calls if you want. Give me a shout. The number is 916-779-0929 from the 916. Grant, you're the best. You call it like it is. Yes, Grant, you inspire me on so many levels, and I don't give a rip about any haters talk BS about you because we have underwear older than them dum-dums. Oh, my gosh. We're moving on here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Are you Sac Alert? Have you signed up to receive emergency alerts via phone, text, email, or app? Well, what are you waiting for? Winter is coming, and that means there is potential for storms and flooding in our county. Don't get caught off guard or left in the cold. Get urgent storm evacuation and shelter information immediately sent directly to your device. Sign up today at sacramento-alert.org. Again, that's sacramento-alert.org. It's free, quick, and easy to do, and can literally be a lifesaver.
If you need a new set of top brand tires, Downtown Ford Sacramento has great news for you. For a limited time, we'll beat any competitor's price on a new set of 4 tires. Then, kick you down a mail-in rebate of up to $150. And that includes major brands like Pirelli, Bridgestone, Yokohama, and Goodyear. Some restrictions apply. Visit downtownfordsacramento.com for details. Downtown Ford Sacramento on Howe Avenue. Online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrud Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule of thumb is every 5 years for an inspection. If it's been 5 years or more, call Gabrud's now. A qualified technician will provide a thorough inspection of the electrical system to ensure it's safe or alert you to potential problems. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We are the area's recognized experts for anything electrical, and our number one priority is ensuring your home and family are safe. You've been saying you'll pay better attention to your home. Stop saying it. Make the call to Gabrud's. Talk with a real person and schedule your 12-point inspection today. Gabrud's, locally owned for more than 30 years. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's. G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabrud's.com.
From the 916, Grant, they play sports, they should talk sports, period. It's simply annoying. For me, it's click. That's why I don't watch any pregame, halftime, postgame shows, other than If You Don't Like That with Jerry Reynolds, Rhino, and Sacktown, and yours truly. I didn't watch 1 second of the Super Bowl pregame show. None of it. Don't do it anymore. That's just me. If you watch it and you love it, good for you. Good for you. Let's get to some phone calls right here, and we say hello to Javier. Hello, Javier.
How you doing today, Mr. Napier?
Good, Javier. How are you?
All right. I just want to say thank you for that gift card. I came and pick that up today.
Great.
For that Bennett's restaurant. I really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Congratulations.
I had a question. Thank you again, sir. So I had a question that I have an answer to, but I more or less want to hear your opinion. I called in their station today and wanted their opinion. I got some runaround. But in today's climate of the Kings front office and coaching staff were free agents, so to speak, would they, Coach Christie and Scott Perry, be employed by another organization? Now, I know that Doug Christie would not, because this is a Kings only job. And for people to say, well, Scott Perry would. Well, last time I checked, Scott Perry was, as you say, worked out and flushed out of New York, where they, pushed him out of the organization because of, Leon Rose connection. And he was a free agent last year, and he didn't work at all in any NBA front office. And he was on a podcast frequently, and that was his new gig, so to speak. And I just do not understand when everyone's saying, well, next year is going to come and then things are going to be different. Well, how are they going to be different if the same people are in power where, again, and I'm going to harp on this till the cows come home, literally and figuratively. How do the Kings think they're better off now with not having Mike Brown with Doug as one of his assistants and or lead assistant, and Monty McNair, who accomplished a lot in a short time, unanimous coach of the year and executive of the year, to now a guy that was unemployed for a year and a coach that would not be given a head coaching job anywhere else. So my question to you is, Mr. Napier, are those two positions, the head coach of the Kings, Doug Christie, and the GM of the Kings, Scott Perry, getting a head coaching job and a general manager job, respectively, not assistant GM, general manager job in any other organization in the NBA? Those are yeses, yeses, or no's, no's, or yes, no, anything in between.
I would say Doug Christie, 100% no. Scott Perry, more towards no, but not 100% no, maybe. But I understand the point you're trying to make. The only reason why Doug Christie is the coach of the Sacramento Kings, I'm going to phrase it this way. If Doug Christie did not have a history in Sacramento, if Doug Christie had been a player on any other team in the NBA, he would have already been fired. Okay. The only reason why Doug is the coach of the Kings is because of his tenure in Sacramento and the fact that a couple of people within the organization that are very high up, one of them being the owner, is infatuated with Doug and loves him. That's the only reason why he's coach. He wouldn't be coach for any other reason. And had he been with another organization instead of the Kings as a player, what have you, he would have been fired already. I mean, you know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. There is no way in the world that Scott Perry can have Doug Christie as the coach next year. Now, as far as Perry, listen, Vivek had him on his radar back in the, I want to say, 18, 17, 19, right around there when he was was in Sacramento for a short period of time and then left to go with the Knicks and then finds himself back. So for whatever reason, and again, I don't know the dynamic between Scott Perry and Vivek Ranadive, but again, Vivek does everything backwards. He was already talking with Scott Perry when he had a general manager in Monty McNair, because we know that Monty resigned right after the final game against Dallas, and then Shams Charania reporting Scott Perry's the guy, and then he is. And we know that Scott Perry didn't hire the coach. We know that the owner hired the coach. I mean, the whole thing's a circus, Javier. And you know what? It translates into the whole Kings record. They're a dysfunctional organization, and until they start doing things the right way, we're going to see the same result.
And what's a shame, yes, sir, and what's a shame is they did it the right way with McNair and Brown. But my question is this, is granted, Perry was there in 17 as an advisor to the GM at the time. Divock helped him draft De'Aaron Fox, and then had three humongous drop and misses in Justin Jackson and Frank Mason III, along with Harry Giles when they passed on a plethora of talent from Donovan Mitchell. I go on and on and on. But my point is this, is whether Scott Perry get a GM job or not in the NBA or not, I don't believe so. I think maybe assistant GM rather, but I still need to know.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Probably assistant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I need to know for the life of me. I'm not going to give this answer, but I want your opinion and your answer. How do the Kings think they are better off with Mike Brown as the head coach and Doug Christie as assistant/lead assistant, but they're now in a better position with Doug Christie alone as the head coach? How can they truly believe that? No, but how can they believe that? How did they believe that? How? I gotta know. Like, how do we?
Yeah,
think
Doug was not. First of all, Doug was not a lead assistant. Doug was fourth on the bench, so he shouldn't have gotten the job in the first place.
But why do they think that he was the answer instead of having Mike Brown with him? I
don't know. It's a great question because they don't ever do anything the right way. That's why you have an owner that, I mean, if you took a piece of paper and you wrote all of the good things that Vivek done on the left side and all of the bad things and the wrong decisions that he's made on the right side, I think it would be like only one thing on the left, and that would be, buying the team and coming in with his white horse and, all of the accolades that he received for doing so. And that's it. It would stop right there. And then on the right-hand side, would be all the bad moves he's made, all of the terrible things that he's done as owner of the Kings. It would fill up the entire page on the right-hand side.
Yeah, because what did I miss? And I think it'd be the three things would be they kept the team in Sacramento, they hired Monty McNair, and they hired Mike Malone, and they hired Mike Brown. And then the other side would have 300,000 things done wrong. But I digress, and I'm just sad to see the Kings as the worst team in the NBA, and the Knicks are one of the hottest teams in the NBA, and De'Aaron Fox is going probably to the Western Conference Finals, and all we get to do is watch and say, oh, what could have been. Well, you have a good day, Mr. Napier.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
watching their game. You have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
sir.
you too. Ryan, what do you think?
You and I talked about this on If You Don't Like That over the summer. It's pretty easy if you want to put your simple detective board out to point back to Alvin Gentry, because a lot of these ties go back to the Pistons. Scott Perry, Alvin Gentry, Pistons. So Alvin with Vivek's ear, brings in Scott Perry during the summer. And you can say the same about Mike Miller, who's an assistant coach. You can say the same about Mike Woodson. They've all had a relationship for a little bit. And I think that's ultimately how you end up with Scott Perry here in Sacramento.
Let's get to Al. Big Al, what's going on?
Mr. Napier, sir, good. You're that poor Kings fan. I feel for him, and that good analysis did just said with the Detroit connection. But just forget all of that outside of that, which you and I have talked about before. Listen, it doesn't matter just the Kings, but when you get billionaires and they buy a sports franchise and they think they want to put their stamp on it, they run maybe a successful corporation. Not if it's inherited, but if you really made your money and did it, and they had know nothing really about running a sports franchise, it's just set up for failure, bad failure. There's many, many examples. You know that, Grant. You could lecture, I'm sure, on some, and then or they have a wanky moment in their life and they go off the rails, like Mr. Snyder. There's several people, but anyway, that's not. I wanted to ask your opinion, Grant, about something I heard on the national NBA beat scene about the Kings and the probability they'll get a top 4 pick. And apparently the 4 picks that are looked at are potential game changers, not Wembanyama's, but very good players. I'll take it off here. I just want to hear your thoughts. And then give me your quick thought about the whole lottery system in NBA. Is it flawed? Is it broken? What do you think?
Thank you for the call. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always never been a fan of the lottery system. Never have. And I will continue not to be a fan. The only player that I would not take in the top 4 is Peterson out of Kansas. I would not even bring him in for an interview. So for me personally, it would be the other 3 players that are talked about on a fairly regular basis. But I think the highest risk of all the 4 players is Peterson. And I think I don't want to take a kid who can't even get onto the court for half the games and doesn't seem like, I'm not putting all of my eggs in his basket. I don't care how special or how talented he is. I don't see that translating into the NBA. But I'm going to have Scott Pollard on next week. He may have a different opinion because he watches him play and knows Kansas basketball inside out. And Scott is batting 1,000 when it comes to Kansas players and how they have done at the next level. He has not been wrong in any of the players that have gone on from Kansas into the NBA and forecasted their careers in the NBA incorrectly. He's batting 1,000. So I will have Scott Pollard on next week, and we will talk about that. And Ryan, we're going to have a lot of conversation right after the All-Star break, breaking down all of these top players with those that have watched these individuals play on a regular basis, both on the national and local level. And we're going to be really breaking down these individuals so Kings fans can educate themselves a little bit more by the content that we have on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll introduce you to the top 6, the consensus, who should be in that top 6, and then we'll give you weekly updates on what's going on with them, how they've played, and what's new.
Yep, looking forward to that. If you want to call the show, 916-779 0929. I was on the record. I would not have hired Scott Perry, not because of his basketball resume. I believe that again, this is me speaking. I would have hired a younger individual whose future success or longevity depends on the success that they have in Sacramento. So I would have hired a younger individual whose career pretty much would depend on the job they do in Sacramento for obtaining that status in the NBA in the future. Whereas Scott Perry, and again, all right, is on his last job, who has got a nice contract now, who's a good guy, talks very well. And by what I mean by talks very well, he's very bright and can sell you on things. And if it doesn't work out, he's got his guaranteed money, and he and his wife of many, many, many years can live happily ever after, and he doesn't have to work anymore. Now, I'm not saying he had to get a job in order to live a nice lifestyle, but what I am saying is now he really doesn't have to worry about it. And at this age and at this point in his career, he's in a great situation.
Or
yep.
he does the unthinkable and turns this franchise around and is just hailed amongst the NBA for turning around something that nobody thought could be turned around with this owner.
There is always that possibility, although I think it is remote, it is slim, but yes, there is that possibility.
So you're
absolutely
telling me there's a chance.
There is a chance. That's exactly right. You know why I say that? Because I just watched the Indiana Hoosiers win the national championship of college football.
Yes. Great point. Out of nowhere, too, right? 2 years?
Yep. That's right. Final segment. Coming up next, right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
NASCAR fans, the Daytona 500 is here on Fox Sports Radio. Tune in for every lap this Sunday starting at 10:30 only on Fox Sports Radio, 890 AM and 104.7 FM. Your home for Dan Patrick, Colin Coward, and Grant Napear.
Call the good dudes at Gabrudes, Gubruds.
Homeowners, if you have an electrical project you need done, then you need the good dudes at Gabrudes. Family owned and operated for 30 years, Jay Gabrud and his team are the area's recognized experts for everything electrical, from the very basic like repairs, lighting upgrades, and whole house fans, to the biggies, panel replacements, EV stations, and backup generators. Gabrudes does it all and does it right the first time. They're actually the guys their competition recommends. Gabrudes, expert 5-star service and always transparent, honest prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues. Visit Gabrudes.com or call 24/7 and speak with a real live person. Gabrudes, Gubruds.
Call the good dudes at Gabrudes, Gubruds. Gabruds.com.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country, and your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Sacramento, we mean business.
Every freaking day.
Great sports talk doesn't take a day off.
Early bird gets the worm and all that.
Sacktown, it's the homie
Grant Napear.
Lock in, listen up, and stay right here.
And from Dan Patrick in the morning to Grant Napear on your drive home.
There's nothing like the power of live radio. Nothing.
This is Fox Sports Sacramento. 104.7 FM, 890 AM.
Who's canceled now?
My retired friends are going back to work. I'm worried Social Security won't be enough. BenefitsCheckup.org connected me to $1,000 a month for food and medicine. It's free. Visit BenefitsCheckup.org today.
Supported by the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
Final segment. Kings Jazz tonight. Post-game show after. Phone calls, welcome at 916-779-0929. For all of you asking me if I understood the reference to Dumb and Dumber, yes. I mean, I'm not that old. Come on now. Yes. Dorian. Hello, how are you, sir? Good to have you on the show, Dorian.
What's up, Grant? What's up, Rhino? I'm excited to watch this scrimmage between the Kings and the Jazz coming up here in 20 minutes.
Yep. It's going to be pretty much that.
Yeah, I know. I want to say thank you to you, Ryan, for the Bennett's gift card. I really appreciate it. I'll make sure I'll send you a photo of myself and my girlfriend whenever we go out to eat. So thank you. I really
That's
appreciate
great.
it.
Enjoy it.
I was listening. I will. Thank you so much again. I was listening to your segment on the way back from work, Grant. The amount of injuries that, a lot of these professional teams and these players obviously are having. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about specifically the NBA. And I think you mentioned this before, and I come from a sports science background, obviously, playing football at Division I and, being in the strength and conditioning department and ultimately, having a degree in kinesiology. And now I work in corporate fitness and was going to go pursue my master's and get a master's in strength and conditioning. I think what's really going on here is, and I can't speak to, the wide array of sports that these athletes have played when they were younger. I don't know if they're all playing basketball and that's just all they do. It sounds like a couple of these, the majority of these professional athletes, they do play one or two sports, growing up, and then obviously they specialize in whatever sport they're playing in now. But I think it's a wide array of the analytics. There's just so much data on a lot of these athletes now that I think it's kind of is one of the reasons why there are so many injuries. And also, a lot of these players are hiring like personal trainers, and these trainers, like, they just have certifications in personal training. They might have big social media followings. They might be super attractive. That doesn't necessarily equate to being a sport performance coach within that sport. And through my experience, we always had a strength and conditioning coach that was very well structured. And obviously in the NBA, you have players that play a lot, right? They're in the competition phase. There are players on the bench that are in the intensification phase of the science aspect of it. They're not getting as many minutes of obviously the players that are in constant rotation. And I think there is a wide range of with these injuries, with the amount of minutes that some players are playing and the amount of minutes that players are not playing. And if you look at the science aspect of it, a lot of these players, when they're training in the same range of motion, the sagittal plane, the transverse plane. I don't want to get too scientific about it here now, but I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is the analytics of it and the science of it plays a big role. And also just the amount of coaches that these players have that they're hired privately, they're not really training under the same strength and conditioning coach or coach is, and only when they're in season. And
that's very true.
Coaches, they don't have a master's degree in sport performance. They don't have a doctorate degree in research and movement science, specifically to basketball, about what we're talking about.
It's a real problem.
They just happen to look very good. They get results for people, but that doesn't necessarily equate to the sport that they're trying to get better at or prepare them for competition. And I think those are the two biggest things that are causing a lot of injuries for these athletes, because I actually don't think that these athletes are overtraining or they're training more than how they were than previous generations of basketball players. Because I think previous generations of basketball players, they just played basketball, right? That's all they did. Now here, they're lifting weights, they're doing all these different aspects of it. There's so much going on. I don't know. I feel like those two things are the two biggest reasons why there's so many injuries going on.
Yep. Dorian, appreciate it, man. Good having you on. Have a
All
good
right,
evening.
Thanks.
Take
You
care.
too. Thank
I want to get to this text. Why do I think it's a remote chance that Scott turns the Kings around? I think he's showing patience and making slow, methodical moves, which is what you have to do. It won't be easy for sure, but I think calling it remote is not really being fair to him. I'm calling it remote because of who he works for, and I know the dynamic with the owner, and I'm looking at the history of the owner and all of the bad moves that have been made. So I'm calling it remote for that reason, number one, and Scott's history in his previous jobs. So that's why I'm calling it remote. Number one, owner. Number two, history. I would love to be wrong, by the way. I'd love to be wrong, but I'm still saying it's remote. Let's get to Jeff in Sacramento. Hi, Jeff.
Hello, Grant. I'm going to follow up on that comment from the previous text. You said you can't do the ageism, okay? You, I, and Scott Perry are very close in age. So that doesn't mean that he's got not the capacity. I mean, when you made the Indiana thing, I said, the media, wait a second. The coach for Indiana is 63 years old. Your standards, he wouldn't have been hired for Indiana. And he's done a great job.
No, I didn't say that. No. You're misconstruing what I said about the age. What I said in reference to the age is, at this point in Scott Perry's career, whether he succeeds or fails in Sacramento is not going to change his life, because this is in all likelihood going to be his last job in the NBA, and he's now got a multi-million-dollar contract. So if it doesn't work out, it's not as big of a deal. If you hire someone that's 40 or 45 and it doesn't work out, they may never get this job ever again. That's the point I was making. I don't have a problem with his age.
Well, I do, because you're bringing his age into his some sort of qualifying criteria that he doesn't want to be successful.
No. You're not here. No. You're not listening to what I'm saying. You're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm not using his age as a qualifier to the job. I'm talking about the reality of having this job at the age in his career with what he's already done in the NBA, and that at the end of this job, in all likelihood, he will retire, and he and his wife will go on and enjoy their retirement. And whether he fails or succeeds will not impact his future employment, because there really isn't going to be future employment. That's the point I was trying to make.
And I disagree, because I still think he's incentivized to turn this around. He was here before, and I liked him before. He went to New York. He cleaned up that team. He may have not had
Really?
a reach of success, but he
didn't clean up the team. That's a bunch of nonsense. He didn't have most of the decisions that were made in New York were not Scott Perry's. So do a little homework, do a little history before you want to give him credit for turning around the New York Knicks. That's not fair.
Did not say he turned around the New York Knicks. He had to clean it up, and that's what he's got to do here. So I hate to say.
I hope he does. I hope he does. I hope he does clean it up.
Okay.
I hope he does clean it up. I'm rooting for him. I want the Kings to do well. I want them to succeed, because the fans of this community deserve it. I hope it happens. I just have my apprehensions about it.
And I don't. So I will continue to listen to you. And when you get on my nerves, I'm going to call you up. Have a good day.
Good. Jeff, you have a good day too. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you.
Great.
But again, the age thing, I think you're misconstruing what I said. Rhino?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's also be real about one thing. How many Kings fans would know that Scott Perry worked for the Kings for 3 months if they wouldn't have reinforced that when he was hired as the GM? Very few.
I mean, come on. Right? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not saying Scott Perry is an old man, okay?
Oh.
He's 62. What I'm saying is, if it were me, all right, what I am saying, I would not have hired an individual that in all likelihood is at the end of his managerial career. And by managerial, I'm talking about general manager. So if Scott Perry, if it does not work out here in Sacramento, in all likelihood, I would put a very high percentage on this. He will never be a general manager again in the NBA, which to him was not going to be a big deal. If you're 40 years old or 45 and it doesn't work out here in Sacramento and you're never going to be a general manager in the NBA again, it is a big deal. All right? And I'm not saying that that means that Scott Perry's not going to try as hard, but what I'm saying is if it were me, I would have hired a younger person whose livelihood depends on the success of the team improving and maintaining your occupation, because this will be it for you. In Scott Perry's case, no big deal. He's got a multi-million-dollar deal. If it doesn't work out, see you later.
Grant, if you take age out of it, there's a reason that coaches and executives are sometimes picky about the jobs that they take, because there is kind of a cap to opportunities that you get. And if Scott Perry does not succeed here in Sacramento, it's going to be another 3, 4, 5 years until there's going to be a run on Scott Perry to become a GM again. Like, there's this process to it. And so that plays into it as well.
916-779-0929. Did something happen with Sabonis from the 5-3-0 playing against the Grizzlies before the deadline and now doesn't even dress? They're resting him. Knee injury management. Yes, that's right. It's a joke is what it is. It's an absolute joke.
Can you go into your rest management voice again? That was pretty good.
Unbelievable.
That was really good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yes, they're resting him. and Laurie Markkinen. Oh, Laurie, please. We are so sorry that we're paying you, $35 million. Please rest, would you please? And we want you to make sure that you're really going to be happy for your upcoming vacation for the next week during the All-Star break.
You know what Adam Silver?
Or is he on the All-Star team? I don't even know.
You know what
Did he make the All-Stars?
I'm not sure. Do you know what Adam Silver's saying to all that?
What's that? That's not allowed. Yeah. How about that, huh?
That's good.
So, yeah. I don't know if Laurie Markkinen is on the team. I don't know. All I know is it's a joke, right? It's a joke. He's not on the All-Star team. So he will be after tomorrow, because they do play tomorrow, he'll be on probably a private plane flying somewhere tropical, I would think. It's a joke. It really
Most
is.
likely, yes.
Yeah. 916-779-0929 if you want to continue to text the show here for the final couple of minutes. I know that we have an issue. Somebody said we need a little travel talk on your time. It's almost up, but I think travel should be talked for the last few minutes. Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask me a question. I can't just talk about travel randomly. You got to ask me a question, right? I talk about sports traveling a lot. I love it. I love going to games on the road. I love seeing my team that I root for play in other venues. It's always been a big enjoyment of mine, and I've always tried to do it. I haven't done it as much lately, but throughout most of my years as an adult, particularly when my children lived in the home before they went out on their own, we used to do a trip every year. It was a big part of our lives, and we enjoyed it. And we would pick out a place to go to, and very often it was New York, by the way, but we would still travel across the country and go to a Giants game and do it on a weekend when the Yankees were in town. But then sometimes we would go to road games, such as up in Seattle or wherever else. We enjoy doing that. So I do like talking about travel, but I like talking about travel for holiday as well. Airlines to fly on, places to stay, places to go, where you should go, where you shouldn't go. I'm a big fan of that, and I've always lived my life around that. So yeah.
I have a travel question for you. Is the gather step a travel?
Yes, it is. It is a travel, in my opinion. Yes. If you get from the midcourt line to the foul line without putting the ball on the floor, in my opinion, that's a travel. What about you?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes. Right. If you cover 1/3 of the basketball floor without putting the ball on the floor, to me, I would just think that is a travel. Incredible. Wow. All right. Thank you so much. for joining us for the 3 hours. Don't forget, coming up in a couple of moments, we have the first hour replayed. And then, after the Kings and the Jazz game, YouTube, X, Jerry Reynolds, Rhino and Sacktown, and myself, we will be on. So please join us there. My thanks to Olden Polynice. For Rhino and Sacktown, Grant Napear, thanks so much for listening to Fox Sports Sacramento. Bye-bye now.